in the machine, angry kid, bad at every level, calling out the kings and the pixelated devils. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, burning down the town. He talks, he fights, he stays up through the night. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, he wears a digital crown.
Welcome back to the lunch hour. How are you Vital Idols doing? The world is burning down. Happy. If you guys didn't know it, I'm happy to be the one to deliver the message to you. Yeah, you will own nothing. You'll be happy. Politics are a mess. Digital ideas everywhere. And now we can't even have physical fucking games. And yet, somehow, I remain non-black-pilled, and hopefully you guys do. We're going to have an awesome fucking show. It's the lunch hour. Hope you guys getting that protein in your system. And your boy got that green tea. No sugar, great for the gut biome. Not sponsored, just really wish more people would drink just straight up green tea. But yes, so much to talk about, so little time. Maybe more time than usual because I don't have the dually stream tonight. They ended up canceling, so we'll see how things go down. But who all we got up in this bitch? Let's take a look. Anthony Way is here. Shout out. Jackus G2s is here. JP Nope. Profile picture. IB to EB. Rudo, shout out. C Brew is here. Matthew O'Brien and him and Matt Stanford having a nice little good back and forth there. You love to see it. Kage the Cunning Linguist. I refuse to call you by your name. Kage the Cunning Linguist. Cliff 420. I can't fucking talk. Wow, up to a banger start. We got St. Hugo to IRL, Albert Wesker, Lithium Lux Eterna holding it down over on Kick. Rudo asked, by the way, was that Billy Idol? I mean, it's an AI song that was meant to emulate Billy Idol, since Billy Idol's my favorite musician of all time. But I'm glad you got that. Yes, that is inspired by Billy Idol, and that is him at the very end doing the vocals. Vesco Bino also holding it down on Kick. Cocho the Dragon. My boy, the Runaway Vagabond. What is up? Dylan B is here. Shout out Dylan B. See his name was Taizanos. Wire to Bly, aka Wheels. I hope that your wheelchair-laden ass is doing A-okay over in the UK where you guys don't have air conditioning. Yes, I'm kind of making fun of you guys for it, but also in all reality, I hope you're not fucking dying. Lethal Weeaboo, what is up? Thron Kill is here. Sleeping Nova, shout out. Guys, yeah, Billie Eilish slaps again. All-time favorite musician. Saw him live, not last summer, the summer before. Even at almost 70, dude puts on just an insane show. Great fucking concert. Saw him with Beck. If anybody remembers Beck, you know, the big artist from the 90s. Billie Eilish and Beck. What a weird duo, but it was fucking awesome. Shout out to Edmund Weber, clipped in 3D, Garrett Targaryen, the true Aztec warrior. Maybe he can install AC in his wheelchair. Then he'll get fined 100 pounds. That's fucking funny. That's clever. Well done. All righty, crew. Let's just get right into it because we got so much to cover. I've been, if you haven't noticed, I've been very quiet on X about this whole digital ID thing, or not digital ID. I've not been quiet about that at all, but the lack of physical games. It's because I didn't want to talk about it until we're here on stream because I got a lot of thoughts. None in any way, shape, or form supporting this monstrosity. But yeah, what is up, Artura? How you doing, homie? Appreciate you. So yes, let's talk about it. Sony officially destroyed physical media. And the interesting aspect of this, like I saw the description because there were so many videos covering this. I didn't know which one I wanted to cover. And it said, can Gen Z own anything? And I was like, you know what? I've never thought about it like that because I'm not a Gen Zer. I'm one like Gen Z is growing up to be more based than us lame ass millennials ever were. And so I want to hear the Gen Z perspective.
You will own nothing and you will be happy. What
All right, and real quick, yes, Wizard, we will be reacting to your video after this one.
inspired me to make this video is that just last night, Sony announced that PlayStation is going to be ending production of physical discs for all new games starting in January of 2028.
Now, I absolutely loved all the cope around this. First of all, I'm very proud of the internet. The vast majority of people I've been seeing react to this have been talking about how this is terrible. This is objectively awful. They hate this, despite the fact that we all see the sales numbers. The sales numbers are, yeah, most people are buying games digitally. Fact of the matter is, they are. As a PC gamer, I am as well. That being said, that doesn't make it okay. I love the pushback, but I also love the hilarious cope from the individuals that think this is okay or think this is a good thing because they can't actually justify it beyond, well, that's how most people play games anyway. Yeah, all right. Just because that might be factually accurate does not mean that this is not anti-consumer or remove the concept of ownership.
And from that date moving forward, new games will only be available in digital formats only. Do you guys know how disgusting this is? Because every game is $100 plus nowadays, they're essentially telling you that you'll have no other choice but to pay for a download. You don't have a case, you don't have a disc, you don't have a manual, you don't even get to...
Now, to be fair, they said they'd stop selling, physical games and whatnot, discs. They might go the GTA route. Like, imagine if PlayStation's like, well, no, we're still doing physical cases so you can have something for your collection. Like, that's where we'll meet you in the middle. I get a lot of people want to display their games for collector's purposes, so we'll sell you a disc, or we'll sell you a case, still no manual, and it just be a download code. But hey, here's the case so you can show that it's physically something that you have, even though you don't actually physically fucking have it. Yeah, I love the manuals as well. Dude, the drive home after you got a game, the drive home sitting in the back seat, flipping through the manual, just absolute anticipation. I remember the very first game I ever did that with was Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis on the PS1 was the very first game where I cracked that bitch open in the back of the car and was reading through, because I don't give a fuck about the instructions, right? It was never like, okay, so I'm going to need to press this to run and this to jump. No one if you were a kid, you were like, oh, let's read the character bios. Let's look at the art and the pictures. That's what it was.
Have the free poster that games like Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead Redemption would include within the purchase for free. But now, after spending $100, what are you gonna get? A button you can click to install the game. That's what you'll get. You are paying the exact same price that you always have been, except now, unlike before, you don't actually own anything. And I don't...
And she is correct. You don't own it. You own a license to play it. And considering Sony just yanked 500 fucking movies people have paid for, it's not the first time it's happened. How many anime fans saw their entire digital libraries just get shut the fuck down after the Funimation acquisition by Crunchyroll? Or maybe it was the other way around. Crunchyroll's acquisition. I don't remember who bought who. Doesn't matter. They're both garbage fucking services.
With that at all, because every single person that plays video games should be given the choice on whether or not they want to buy a physical.
Shout out to War Wizard for a two-banger. First one to put some coinage in the in the pocket today. Let's see, what was it called again? By the way, we've got the oh right, it is the Goodbye Physical Games, or actually Goodbye Physical Media in General Fund for a two-banger. Hail Leon, sorry I'm late. Fuck Sony. I'm so surprised the super chat let you even put fuck Sony. Well done. She Australian, so many unnecessary R's at the end of words. I don't have that. To be fair, I don't know what's worse, the unnecessary R or the fact the Brits remove the letter R and just add a bunch of extra of the letter U. I'm not entirely sure. But thank you so much for the two-banger, War Wizard.
Physical copy or a digital copy? Buying digital should not be the only option. I don't care if consumer
Vagabond with a with membership for 5 months. Sony bought Crunchyroll, and then they bought Funimation. Fuck Sony. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. Thank you. You were correct.
my preference is shifting more towards digital. What happens if I lose access to my console? What happens if I lose access to my account on the console? That means I won't be able to play the game ever again with.
I hadn't considered that option. Not that you could lose access to your account. I considered that, but I hadn't thought about why. Bro, how many times have we heard of people's their entire PSN accounts or whatnot get terminated for hate speech? Like, this is going to not only remove the concept of ownership, but it removes the concept of individuality in terms of you having your beliefs. Like, wasn't it Amazon that shut that entire dude out of his smart house because all the audio capture devices he used heard him being racist? Turns out he wasn't even being racist, by the way. He didn't even say the N-bomb. Not that it fucking matters if he did, but that was what the AI within those audio recording devices heard, and they locked him out of his entire smartphone because they got to be the moral arbiters. This is the exact same thing. If you're on Call of Duty or whatever, and you drop an N-bomb, and they say, you know what? Nuke your entire library, nuke your entire account. What happens to all the games that you bought for $80 because you guys aren't playing on PC like adults buying stuff at the Steam sale?
They're buying it on another account again. But if I have a disc that I bought, I can just install the game over and over and over.
But you can't even really do that. She is wrong. You can't even really do that because when they put these games on a disc, so much of it is an additional download. So really, even if you had the disc and you put it in there to reinstall it, you're not installing the full fucking game. And that's a travesty. That's absolutely disgusting. I've heard this cope, this absolute cope. Like, well, discs only hold up to 100 gigabytes in games nowadays. Fuck you. Make better technology. Let's not pretend that we're not able to make better technology. We went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray. We went from, the vinyl to the CD to the MP3. Like, let's not pretend they could not come up with better tech to just make sure games stay physical. This is absolutely a choice. Oh, the technical limitations of the disc. Fuck you. That is the reason America is number one under the sun is because capitalism is awesome and it has funded further R&D and further just like increases in technological advancement. Dude, we had the microchip in like 1948 or some shit. Let's not be real that we could not just get better ways, better technological advancements to continue games being physical.
Over again, no matter what happens. Because what if my console just stops working? It breaks. There goes my game. But if I have a disc, I'll always have the game. And I hate this.
Yeah, capitalism and white people. But I'll get to that in a sec because I need to restart my Stream Deck.
So much because they will be completely and totally eradicating the midnight launch trend for good. And it will officially be a thing of the past. But
to be fair, I will say it is a thing of the past. I have not gone to a midnight release that was any semblance of fun since Dragon Ball FighterZ. And that was what, 2017? When did Dragon Ball FighterZ come out? 2018. So I've not been to a midnight release that was worth a damn since Dragon Ball FighterZ. And honestly, that was only worth a damn because we threw a gameplay party at my house later that night, a post-midnight game party where me and my homies came over and like we there was like 8 or 12 of us or something, all learning the moves and basically holding like a noob tournament, which, by the way, I came in second place in. My buddy Aaron, who's a competitive Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 player, he beat me. He was able to he pulled out some bullshit at the last minute, just translating his knowledge of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Anyway, the last actual real fun midnight release that was fun because the midnight release that I went to was Fallout 4. The midnight release has been dead, been a thing of the past for ages now, and I hate that. I'm not justifying it. I fucking hate that. Just saying it's true.
What will also be a thing of the past is backwards compatibility.
How does it work with games when you buy? How does it work with Steam when you buy games? They decide to suspend your account. Do you still have access to the games? I don't know. I very seldom have ever heard of Steam accounts getting suspended. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I just don't know. Steam is a social platform. Steam is, for the most part, incredibly not just user friendly, but consumer friendly. So I don't have an answer to that, unfortunately.
If you currently have a game that you want to play on a PS4 disc, you can still put that in your PS5 and it will work just fine. But with the
Yeah, but that's not true backwards compatibility. I don't give a fuck. The whole reason that is backwards compatible is because they wanted to resell those PS4 games with like the PS5 upgrade, which you had to pay like an additional amount of money for, depending on what game it was. So I think that's like, okay, sure, technically it's backwards compatibility. That's not relevant. I've still got copies right over there of like the original Spyro games from PlayStation 1, right? Spyro 2 Ripto's Rage, one of my favorite video games of all fucking time. I should hypothetically be able to break that disc out, pop into my goddamn PlayStation 5. Now, I don't have a PS5 because I'm not, a gay. Pride Month is over. But if I had a PS5, I should be able to break out Spyro 2, pop into my PS5, and play it. Let's not pretend technology has advanced so far that we just, oh man, the PS5 can't handle playing PS1 games. I can emulate it on my PC just fine, which I've done, by the way, amongst a myriad of other PS1 and PS2 games. So that's neither here nor there. So, like, they're trying to tell us they're fucking NASA post-moon launch. It's like, well, we'd like to go back to the moon, but we deleted all the tapes and we lost the technology. Bitch, you lost the technology? We can't go to the moon in 2026. You lost the technology from 1969? Get the fuck out of here.
$1,000 PS6 coming out with disc slots no longer being available on the console, your PS5 games will not work on your PS6 and they will eventually become obsolete when they shut the servers down. So what benefit does this have for their users? Because even though this change is happening in 2028, it's affecting people right now, as Grand Theft Auto 6 will not be having a disc release, but will instead be coming with a case that opens to a download code instead, which is just the dumb.
And now, I've got my gripes with this. I do. I've got my gripes with this. Like, when Sonic Shadow Generations came out, I downloaded like sorry, not Sonic Shadow Generations, Sonic Frontiers. When Sonic Frontiers came out, I, sprung for like the deluxe edition and whatnot because I wanted the steelbook case. I wanted like that nice, crisp steelbook case. But I got in the Switch edition. And because I was going to play Sonic Frontiers on the PC, but because I wanted a physical edition of the game. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'm just buying this game twice. I'm going to get just, standard whatever on PC so I can play it on PC. But I want a physical edition. I want a physical copy. And if I'm going to get a physical copy, I want the nice version. So I got the version with a steelbook case. And so when I did the pre-order for it, I'm about to actually give props to GameStop, guys. I'm about to actually give props to GameStop. GameStop emailed me back being like, hey, and I'm sure there's a form letter they sent out to anyone who ordered the Switch edition, but that's neither here nor there. They emailed saying, just so you know, the Steelbook is not going to have a physical game with it. The Steelbook is only mass produced for the PlayStation and Xbox because they use discs and Switch use cartridge. So we're sending all users that get the Steam or that get the Switch version a regular case with the game inside and the Steelbook case. I was like, yeah, that's fine, because I still got the fucking game. Like, I still got a physical copy of the game in a physical case, plus the Steelbook case for my display and whatnot. So I technically have two cases, which makes sense because I have two copies of the game, even though one is on Steam. But the point is, like, because GameStop or Sega or somebody acknowledged that physical media matters, there was a form letter sent out to be like, are you okay with the fact that the Steelbook will not actually hold your game since you're getting the Switch version? I was fine with that because I wanted the physicality. That was the driving factor.
Dumbest thing in the world, is it not? Because if physical copies of games aren't in demand like they say they aren't, then why bother making a case if you think people aren't going to buy it? And if you're going to make a case, you may as well make the disc as well, no? Oh my god, this whole situation is just stupid. And why this is so infuriating to me is because just a few days ago, PlayStation also announced they will be removing over 500 movies that millions of customers purchased from their accounts. Movies like Terminator.
And again, because you didn't purchase the movie. You purchased a license to watch the movie for as long as the license is available. And I'm of two schools of thought on this. On the one hand, this is all our fault. This is our fault for either A, not doing our due diligence and realizing that's how this works, but also B, let's not pretend that these companies, be it Amazon, be it Funimation, be it Netflix, be it Sony, be it Xbox, Microsoft, whatever, let's not pretend that they make this shit easy to find. It is absolutely obfuscated by these companies. They hide the fact that you're not owning the thing. They are actually only purchasing a license to it. They do hide that, but it is also on the consumer to do their research to know this shit. So this is definitely a mixed fault situation, but Wizard is right. It is my fault specifically. The army of 300 million gamers in the United States can come at me, DMs open. I will take the blame for this.
And Rambo will no longer be owned by the people who bought them on the PlayStation Store simply because of a licensing deal ending. So also, those who bought movies to own on their PlayStation just don't anymore. Just like that. In the snap of a finger, your hard-earned money is being thrown directly into the garbage.
Don't forget your hard-earned money that you spent for legal purchases, because let's not pretend that this is any different than what Steam did with the payment processors not too terribly long ago. This actually does just give those payment processors that much more powerful, or that much more power. Let's say, what Ratchet and Clank are they on? Ratchet and Clank like 7, 8? Doesn't fucking matter. I haven't played a Ratchet and Clank since like Ratchet and Clank 4. But, that's one of Sony's big flagship IPs that almost always stays exclusive. So let's use Ratchet and Clank as an example. Ratchet and Clank 6 or 7 or 8 or whichever fucking one it is comes out and it's digital only, and the payment processors are like, you know what? We're not into furry shit. We think that furry shit is actually very harmful to the populace at large. And since you got a Lombax here, which is a basically giant talking animal, this is close enough to furry stuff. We're gonna just drop the being able to pay the process of payment for this game. Guess what? You're not gonna get it digitally. It doesn't exist physically. So yeah, I guess Ratchet and Clank is fucked. Ratchet and Clank Deadlock was the best. Okay, it was not the best. You're high. I actually don't hate Deadlock, but Going Commando, the second one, was the best. But the point is, yes, the games being digital only serves nothing else than giving the payment processors more power.
Right in front of you. That whole time, you didn't buy that movie. You were renting that movie, and they didn't tell you that. 500 movies. Gone in the blink of an eye, without warning. That is why you need to own DVDs. Because now that I own The Hangover and White Chicks and Pulp Fiction, nobody can.
All right, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. By the way, Pulp Fiction, one of the top 5 greatest movies ever fucking made. Look, like if you have Leon, top 5 movies, Pulp Fiction is probably like number 3 or 4 for me. Let's see. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Army of Darkness, Perfect Blue, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction's number 4.
Ever take them away from me, no matter what happens.
And I quickly want to mention here that my copy of Pulp Fiction was only $17.99, and I get 8 different special features. If I bought this on Apple TV for $15, I get none of these special features. I only get the movie. So what's really more worth it?
Before you buy or rent Obsession online, please can I show you something? To rent this movie, it is $20. To own it digitally, it is $24.99, which means you don't really own it because the terms say they can take it away at any point in time. When you could actually buy the Obsession Blu-ray physical copy, plus they give you the digital code. They give you a code that you can put into any of your streaming apps, and you can watch it on the go, put on your phone, put on your iPad, put on your TV. They're giving you the digital copy for free with the physical copy.
I mean, it's not free, to be fair. It's included with the price. Just like how free healthcare is free. But I get what she's saying. And in essence, she is correct. There's a distinction without a difference.
For only $22. So why would this is a scam?
You'd think she's exaggerating, but she's not. This is just the depressing reality. They want you to pay them more, so
the only time I buy digital movies, and I very rarely do it, the only time I buy digital movies is if it's something for the watch party that for whatever reason I can't find on streaming, and I can usually, like, some weird obscure movie from the 80s or whatnot, and I'll buy it for $2-3, just because, hey, this is the movie that the community voted on, or the one the wheel spin or whatnot, and I owe them the watch party, and I hate doing that, but I've done that a handful of times since we started doing the Discord watch parties.
that you get less. Then they can make even more of a profit than before by not having to spend money on the production of discs and their cases. They get more money, you don't get anything. Because if you look at the prices for the Michael movie on DVD, a regular copy is only $19.99 and a Blu-ray copy is $29.99. But if you go on YouTube to rent the movie, it's $37.99. Like,
bro, these companies bending us over, fucking us with a sandpaper dildo, and we're just saying, give me more, massa. Yes, sir, please, oh, massa, give me more. No blue cheese on the salad.
For that price, I may as well just buy a ticket to watch it at the movies again, because it's literally cheaper to do that. And to buy the movie...
No, it's still me doing it because I'm using my money to do so, but yes.
It's literally $42.99, and I don't even get to own a physical copy. If somebody ever loses access to their YouTube account, there goes their Michael movie. That is literally just blatant fraud, guys. And mind you, they're doing this exact same thing with video games too.
Nah, dude. Blue cheese dog walks ranch. I don't even want you. Dude, what are you, a liberal white woman? Blue cheese dog walks ranch.
The reason that they're going digital exclusively is so that they can constantly control the price and make it whatever they want. Because God of War Ragnarok at Walmart is $40, and it's typically that price for a disc of the game. Whereas on the PlayStation Store, it's $70, and it's not a special edition either.
And for some reason, y'all still, not y'all as in you guys in chat, but just people at large, say that PC is too expensive. Fuck you. What's the cheapest the God of War has ever been? Well, is Ragnarok on Steam? Hold on, it might just be 2018 that's on Steam. Let me check. Is God of War Ragnarok on Steam? Okay, so it is. All right, so let's go to SteamDB, and then we will go. Yeah, God of War Ragnarok. What's the cheapest it's ever been? Charge. Here we go. Price history. Lowest recorded price is $40. So same as in Walmart, effectively. Lowest price is $40. The idea that PC is just too expensive, fuck you. If you go to the PlayStation Store and you buy this old-ass game for $70, this is a PC store. I meant PlayStation Store. I said PC Store. If you go to the PlayStation Store and you buy this old-ass game for $70, that is wild. Build your PC, yeah, or even buy it pre-built. It's got more upfront cost, sure. It's going to pay for itself very quickly, especially the type of individual that actually buys and plays games regularly, or maybe even semi-regularly. Like that, the idea that PC is too expensive is such fucking cope.
It's the same standard game for $30 more. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the real reason why they don't want to make hard copy video games and movies anymore.
Streaming companies want to convince us that a superior subscription with a 4K TV is the way to go. Here we have Apple TV on with quality of service set up on our router, and I want you to see some of the compression artifacts in the lease right here and just the overall quality before I switch over to just regular Blu-ray. Dead giveaway will be to look at the face of this character and see all of the compression artifacts on a 4K stream. Now we're going to try out the Blu-ray version. Playing the regular Blu-ray, as you can see, there's much less compression artifacts, especially on the trees.
The fact that I can see the difference running this through YouTube than running it through StreamYard is insane. Like, I was expecting not really to be able to see too terribly much of a difference due to all because I mean, first of all, we're watching a recording, and then that recording is put on YouTube, and there's already gonna be some compression there, and that recording is put, from YouTube and running it through StreamYard. So I'm watching it through YouTube through StreamYard that was originally recorded probably on a cell phone or something. So you've got multiple layers of compression. I can still see the difference. That is crazy.
And on the character as well. And as we zoom in on the face of this character, you can see the colors and the clarity is way higher than on a 4K stream.
Streaming services have successfully brainwashed every single person on the
physical media is not ownership either. Try playing your CD in a power public. What? That is not what ownership. What? No, that's retarded. Ownership just means that you, the individual who purchased the item, has direct control over owning the item. It is your private property. It is your private possession. That doesn't mean you can do whatever with it at any point in any place. It just means that there is no higher apparatus that has more control over the object than you. I can't tell if you're joking or not, but this is the most retarded thing I've ever heard.
This planet. They have convinced us that buying their $30 a month subscription service that they could raise the price of whenever they want, mind you, with low quality slop that you don't actually own is a better deal than buying a DVD with clearer and crispier visuals that I can carry with me wherever I go for the rest of my life for as long as I live with just one payment and one payment only. And it's shocking because we pay monthly to not get any value for our money, but they're making it so that we don't have any other choice but to pay for streaming services because they're making consoles that can't play discs or DVDs. So if you're a DVD collector and you...
Man, y'all remember the PS2, just to take it back in time a little bit, give you a little bit of history. The reason the PS2 was the highest selling console, I believe it maintained being the highest selling console until the Switch. I think the Switch eventually beat it, but was the highest selling console for generations, not just its own generation, but for generations. But when PS2 first came out, it was the highest selling because it was a DVD player. There were people who were buying the PS2 who weren't gamers just because it was a cheaper DVD player than the DVD players that were on the market. Like, this is when DVD was new. DVD players, you got to remember, DVD players were incredibly expensive when they first came out. The PS2 was the cheapest DVD player on the market. People bought them just to use them for that without ever buying a game.
Using your gaming console to watch those movies? Not anymore. They're forcing you to stream. Oh, and just to rub salt on the wound, even if you do pay for a Netflix subscription, by the way, you still don't get full access to their library and will have half of their catalog locked from watching unless you give them more money to unlock them. Listen to me.
And no, I don't really collect DVDs. Like I've got a pretty sizable DVD collection, but there isn't just most of the things I want. I already fucking own. There are every now and again I'll spring for a new movie if it's something I really liked or loved in the theaters or whatnot. But by and large, I don't really collect DVDs / Blu-rays or anything anymore. Not because digital is better, because I don't care about physical, because I've not cared about the vast majority of films released in the last 10 to 15 years to justify the price. That being said, if I go into like the used game store, because a lot of used game stores also sell DVDs and stuff, and I see like an old Godzilla movie for $2.99, yeah, I pick that shit up. Absolutely.
You don't even own the full subscription when you pay for the subscription. How genuinely absurd is that? Now, to end this frustrating video off, if you thought to yourself, oh, that's fine if PlayStation screws me over, I'll just get an Xbox. Let me just rain on your parade real quick, okay?
Xbox next gen gen hardware Project Helix not expected to include. Here's the thing. If Xbox wanted to dog walk PlayStation, which they've actually been doing a very good job of the last 6 months or so, but if they want to hammer it home, bro, they would reverse this. They would tell their engineers, you find a way to get a fucking disc tray in there. Like, you don't want to get murked like you have in every other console war so far, save for maybe the Xbox 360 era. You find a way to put a disc drive in there just to fuck with Sony. Like, that's what the real console wars should be. The real console wars shouldn't be like exclusive games and stuff. It should be companies being cutthroat, dog walking each other with their hardware. I would love to see. It's never going to happen. It's wishful thinking. But man, would it not be an absolute W?
Because Xbox is expected to follow in Sony's exact footsteps by not including a disc drive for their next console as well. So either way,
I don't care about physical media. If I want physical media to create my own ownership as a separate topic, though, then you care about physical media. You can't separate the two. That's fucking stupid. If you think that the idea of physical media is separate from the concept of ownership, then you're an idiot.
You're screwed. And doesn't that just make you so excited for the future, guys? But to make your irritation even worse, Microsoft doesn't even hear the words coming out of their own mouths right now, because it's also being reported that
This is also a stupid argument. Physical, you need housing, and housing isn't affordable. Yes, the fuck it is. I'm tired of this fucking, it's not affordable, but yes, the fuck it is. If housing wasn't affordable, on average, then the vast majority of people wouldn't have it. Guess what? The vast majority of people do, in fact, fucking have it. Whether they rent, whether they own, whatnot, that is irrelevant. The vast majority of people in America, do in fact have housing. So needless to say, the fact that housing isn't affordable, I'm not going to say it's not more expensive than it used to be. Obviously it is. Yeah, everything's gone up. Inflation sucks, but that's a retarded fucking argument.
Xbox is working on a, quote, disc to digital feature that will allow players to get digital copies of their physical games on their new disc driveless consoles.
Emulate everything. I hate this argument as well. Not because I'm anti-emulation or anti-piracy. I'm actually very pro both. But this mentality is stupid. Anyone ever go to the Titanic Museum? If you've gone to the Titanic Museum, 90% of what's in the Titanic Museum are replicas, i.e., they are emulated. If I go to a museum, I don't want to see a fucking replica of a thing. I can get a replica of a thing off fucking Etsy. I want to see the thing. I want to see the actual chairs that were recovered from the Titanic, the plates, the safes, whatever it may be, some parts of the wreckage. I want to see the real shit, not emulations of them. Emulate everything, pirate the rest. No, preservation fucking matters. That is insane.
So y'all would rather go through all of that damn trouble to intentionally make your jobs harder instead of just, installing the goddamn disk drive that y'all always have to avoid wasting all of that time and all of that money trying to figure that out. Here's a crazy idea. Just put the disk drive on the console. Then you wouldn't have to do that.
I also just want to quickly let you guys know that this is how stupid people are becoming. Instead of protesting against this decision or rightfully criticizing it on social media, these people are happily letting themselves be scammed on eBay by paying inflated prices for a digital copy of the game.
Rights were a mistake. This right here is why rights were a mistake. This is why universal suffrage was a mistake. Because people are doing this. Like, I understand being dumb and not realizing that, there was a shortage of XYZ thing, or there's an let's say RAM, for example, right? There's an artificial RAM shortage. Some people need RAM. I understand people not being able to wrap their head around the idea that the RAM scarcity is artificial, that there's actually no scarcity. It's being played up like it's a scarcity, so the companies that make the RAM can sell them to governments and other big tech companies at a higher premium. People not understanding that is annoying, but I get it. The idea that the people are so fucking stupid that they think that there is a scarcity on a digital download code. Human rights were a mistake. Go back to the medieval times. Go back to the medieval times when people just lorded over you and ruled you didn't have rights because you threw away your rights when you started doing shit like this, paying for this.
They don't even get to hold in their own hands for more than it's worth, even though there's no risk of shortages or the game selling out because it's a digital download and
I'm not responding to any more of your comments, Kira.
This is why Sony and PlayStation are going to get away with everything that they're doing right now. And it's because of dickheads like this.
Anyways, guys, I know that this is completely different from the content that I usually make, but I was scrolling in bed last night when I saw this, and I felt my blood boiling immediately. I had to talk about this. What these people are doing is low-key illegal. High-key illegal, actually.
Currently facing multiple class action lawsuits over accusations that PlayStation Store is a monopoly. It's definitionally not. Steam is also facing these lawsuits, and they're not going to go anywhere because it's definitionally not a monopoly.
So I hope they get their asses sued for it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys!
I know a lot of y'all did not like her voice, the shrieking heartbeat that she was, which she did make some good points. I enjoyed her video, especially from a Gen Z perspective, because again, she's right. They've owned nothing. They will not own anything. Gen Z is totally fun. At least us millennials and older, the Gen Xers and whatnot, we got to own shit. We got to have. You can't take this chair from me. I didn't lease this chair. I got this fucking chair. This is my goddamn chair. If something happens, nothing will get rid of the fact that this is my chair. This is my vape. This is my microphone. The whole nine. But yeah, then Asmongold decided to chime in, and he has the dumbest fucking take, which I guess the removal of the Pride shirt didn't matter because he's back to wearing his white t-shirt and still saying some retarded shit. Asmongold been taking a lot of L's lately.
There's a lot of people on the internet that care a lot about physical media, and they care so much about it that they never buy it. And any of these people that are talking about
whether you buy physical media or not is irrelevant, because whether you buy something does not mean you do or don't care about it, right? Like the idea of caring about physical media means you care about the concept of ownership. I don't buy a lot of physical media for things like, I was gonna say I didn't get the most recent Billie Eilish album, but I did. I got it on vinyl, so that's not correct. Yeah, I haven't, but the vast majority of my recent games I have not gotten on any sort of physical media, because I just don't play console games, and PC really doesn't offer an avenue for that anymore. So it's not even a case of I'm choosing not to do it, more I'm SOL. I would absolutely prefer to buy physical if that was there. When it comes to my games, again, if movies coming out nowadays didn't fucking suck, I would get those. I still buy physical media today. Asmongold to say they care so much they never buy it. Those are not congruent statements. You can care about something, also not interact with thing if thing is not worth your time or money in that individual moment.
How much they love video games and buying video games. I want you to show me the last 10 video games you bought, and I want you to show me the box that you bought them in.
Yeah, here we go. All right, so I can't do the last 10 games, but there we go. Bought this physical. I go grab the Sonic Frontiers one, but it's at my living room right now. But here we go. Bought this physical. Almost every single game I have on Switch that is not download only, I own physically. Every one of them. Whether it be Smash Bros, whether it be the Pokemon games, whether it be the Mario games, whether it be the Zelda games. Do I have... Grab my Switch real quick. What do I have in my case? What do I have in my travel case for when I fly? In my travel case right now, when I fly, let's see, we've got, here we go, Sonic Frontiers. There you go. There's the Sonic Shadows Generations. Zelda Link's Awakening. Tears of the Kingdom. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, which, by the way, I also have on Steam. So I bought this game twice because I'm such a big Spyro fan. I want to be able to play it on my PC and play it on the go. So yes. Yeah, actually, those of us that are whinging and whatnot about physical media do, in fact, fucking buy physical media. What a retarded ass take. Let's see. Saw this come in. Dizzy Lizzy with a 2-banger. Real Life Freight Wizard. No sniffing. Pride Month's over. Yeah. Pride Month is over. Yeah, Asmongold saw they're being gay. Thank you for the 2-banger, homie. Dash Attack with a 5-banger. Don't let anyone gaslight you. Speaking now about Sony's move to kill physical media is not futile. Even KFC is clowning on him. KFC as well? I saw Domino's. KFC? Hold on. Let's go to KFC's X account real quick. There's no way. Really? I'm not seeing KFC clowning unless is it a different KFC than, let's see. What's this? If you wouldn't steal fried chicken, hold on. That must not be it. Thank you all for your questions. Subs out to the month of release. No fucking way. What? Breaking news, KFC will stop offering its physical format starting today. Its products can only be consumed through the app on fake PNG format. And then they went on to say, thank you for all your questions. Let me clear this up for your doubts. Within a month, we'll release DLC with the sauces. Each one will be sold separately. You can pre-order the PNGs of Los Glasados before they sell out. Within a year, we'll release the fried chicken pass. You'll get your entire catalog for a modest monthly price. VPNs won't be allowed to access menus from other countries, nor sharing the PNGs with friends. If you pirate the PNGs on Pinterest, we'll come to your house. Bro, even KFC is... I was not sharing my screen. My bad. Even KFC is dog walking on them. Holy shit. That is fucking funny. Los Glasados digital format. Fuck me, bro. KFC maintain a relevance like this. That's funny. That's well done. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for the super dash. Let me go ahead and get you a clip. You know what? I know you're a Sonic fan, so we'll give you this one right now.
There's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, you touch them back.
You'll care about KFC clowning when the chicken doesn't cost a C bill from meal 4. I haven't had KFC in God knows how fucking long, so I don't know how expensive they are. All right, sounds good. Catch you later, Asset Warrior. Gotta take a shit digitally. That's pretty much what we're all doing at this point. It's like that Family Guy episode where like they go to the future where Stewie and no, they don't go to the future. Stewie and Griffin go to a alternate universe of Christianity never happened, and so the human race is actually like 1,000 years more advanced, and like they remove the shit digitally so you never actually shit. I'd like a digital spicy chicken sandwich and some wedges, please. Yeah. I exaggerate with the C bill, but I went there with my family about a year ago and a meal for 4 was $66. Holy shit. That's crazy. Alrighty. Well, I don't know if Wizard's still here or not. We are going to react to Wizard's video. The culture war is over. You lost. Now, I actually don't know the premise of his video. I don't. Like based on the title. Oh, good. You are still here. I don't know the premise of the video. But with the title itself, I'm going to say I disagree. I do. I don't think it is over, nor do I think we've lost. That being said, the culture war means many things. To some people, culture war is just like fighting wokeness or whatever. Oh, bitches in video games and man jaws. I disagree. I think that's way too narrow of a term for culture war. When I think of the culture war, I think of things like waking individuals up to the idea that communism and Muslims should be banned from the U.S. Leon's a title commenter. No, I'm just giving, because it's my job as a reactor to react. I need to give my thoughts first, then we'll see where it goes from there. The point is, I don't think it's over. I don't think we lost, because if we did, that's a very black pill mentality. Why even bother, continue to fight or live? Like it's too nihilist. But prove me wrong.
Hello. I'm the real life fake wizard. For the last decade and some change, the internet has discussed and chronologized the battles of the culture war. Well, after all the releases of June 2026, I'm here to confidently tell you the war is over. Yes, the culture war is over. Do you know who won? No one. Humanity is lost. To give a brief introduction,
it's really hard to maintain being white-pilled when I also opened up today's stream basically saying the world is burning the fuck down. He's like, humanity is lost. Like, well, it's hard to disagree.
Of this culture war. On one side, you find people who think a hero should adhere to the classical standards and beliefs of heroism that have been found throughout all of human history. That a story is supposed to mean something, and that you don't hand children, the next generation of humanity, protagonists that embody cowardly, weak, and or selfish ideals. The motivation of this camp of people is preservation of the values of the past. On the other side, you'll find institutions and people inside of them who look at the exact...
Real quick, future over to you with a 5-banger. Skip the DMs and super chat. Tell Leon he ruined gaming, you bum. Yes, he's good. Skip the DMs and super chat to tell me how much I ruined gaming. Absolutely. I agree. Shout out. Thank you, Paul.
Delete that shit right now!
Appreciate you, homie.
Same stories and see a list of things that must be fixed. Too old, too simple, too narrow, built by and for people who don't look like the whole room. And they believe that to change and destroy the past is to make it better. And they mean it too. This camp is not interested in
so he says they mean it. I agree and disagree. And I was talking about this, I believe, on the Monday show. There are the ones that mean it are useful idiots. The people in the writing room or the people that are making these executive decisions that truly believe like tear down the past to make it better. That mentality, they do believe it, but they're the useful idiots. The individuals at the top, the upper echelons of the apparatus, we're looking at my forearm, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, they don't believe that shit. They just need everyone else to, because once all these people get black pilled and start institutionalizing and start propagating this post-Marxist method or this post-Marxist message, it gets them one step closer to their end goal concepts of owning nothing, living in the pods, being happy, the whole nine.
Observation at all. They will revise a story until it's less of a story at all and more of a delivery system for whatever message they've decided it's important for you and the next generation of listeners to hear. which means one camp wants stories to retain their original meanings as intended by their original creators, and the other camp wants to use all the stories as mechanisms to say something else. Now, I'm saying that the culture war is over, and I'll admit I'm being a bit hyperbolic, but what
Thank God. Thank God.
I mean by that is that not only is there no winner at present day, but also this is a battle that has no end in sight. There is never going to be a definitive winner for reasons we'll discuss shortly, but further, and more importantly, there is no winner because there is nothing worth battling over anymore.
I can't agree. Because like when you start talking about the importance of storytelling and the importance of these characters and leaving something to the next generation, you know, as a dad, I can't agree with the idea that it's not worth it, or that there's nothing worth preserving or anything to that effect. Like, as someone that took my kid to go see Raiders of the Lost Ark in theaters the other night, and the kid came out fucking loving it, despite the fact that's a movie from 1982. Nah, to me, it means there is something worth fighting for. Shout out to IB to EB, gifting a membership. Thank you so much. Who'd you hit? Who did you hit? Oh, you hit Rudo. Nice. You hit new viewer to the channel, Rudo. It's hardly off the ground yet. Let the wizard. I will let the wizard. Here's the deal, wizard. While I know that you would never copyright claim me or flag me or whatnot, because obviously we're homies and shit, I do have to pause, actually react, and give opinions to, you know, for fair use purposes, just because that is the morally correct thing to do as a content creator that does reactions. I will let you cook. Don't worry. But again, I gotta do my proper thing as a different type of content creator that does reactions. So again, shout out. Thank you so much for IB to EB. Let's get you a clip real quick. You know what? This is a good one. Pride Month just ended, so let's do this one.
Now excuse me while I harass someone for having pronouns in their bio.
Shout out. All right, let's keep going.
Every single major property, story, hero figure, every IP, every motivation, every possible plot point, everything has been defanged, declawed, neutered, tortured, and executed. And I know that sounds awful, and Wizard, you're blackpilling, but what I'm describing is that we stand upon the rubble of creation.
That I don't disagree with. Like, I am that was why what was it? What was the IP we were talking about? Harry Potter. Several months ago when Black Saint was announced and we were on Saturday Night Hypnosis and we were talking about it, that was the conclusion that I came to. I think Wizard actually agreed. Harry Potter was the last IP that had not, at least like mainstream non-gaming related IP, that had not been bastardized. And now we see what's happening with Harry Potter. And like it was because Star Trek's gone, Star Wars is gone, Indiana Jones is gone, Doctor Who is gone, James Bond is gone. All these IPs that had become synonymous with either American culture or European culture or like they do not exist in their original form anymore. Harry Potter was the last one that had not been hit yet, and now even Harry Potter has fallen to it. I don't think there is an IP, at least on like the television and movie front, that is a legacy IP that has not been bastardized. I think he's incredibly correct there.
Activity. There is nothing left to fight for. And no matter how much you might dislike what Hollywood and Wall Street produce, regardless of the camp you find yourself in, there is no denying that what we're fighting over now is crumbs. No matter how many hundreds of millions of dollars Hollywood and Wall Street lose catering to the institutions, another reboot will be made. Another sequel for another day. Another remake, reshoot, retelling meant to reestablish relevance, restore reputations, and rehabilitate broken brands while reassuring shareholders that reinvention will restore recognition. Superman didn't do well at the box office. Supergirl is also not doing well at the box office. Man of Tomorrow will likely not do well at the box office, but there will be...
Nah, Wizard. You told me to let you cook. How dare I bow to your whims, let you cook, and you won't let James Gunn cook? You're telling me to let you cook, but you won't give the same benefit of the doubt to fucking James Gunn? Let him cook. It'll be good, man. I swear.
Another one. There will always be another Super someday. And whether or not James Gunn is at the helm, it doesn't matter. There will always be another and another. And with each other, the story, world, culture, character, moral, and message that the original creators intended is slowly and steadily washed away until Superman is not even Superman at all. He's just Super Fella now. A guy who happens to be super. And I hope I'm being clear that Superman is just an example of an infinite pattern. Replace Superman.
I saw his Supergirl movie, and I've been on the phone with my therapist ever since. You're a better man than I did. I went and saw Superman, and and I was an apologist, not an apologist, but I was one of the people who was like, let them cook, let the lead up. You and I talked about it. You and I reviewed Superman together on my show last year after it came out. I will not give the time to Supergirl. I won't. I refuse. I'm so black pilled on DC.
Man, with any character or story you can think of, and it fits the same sad outcome. And so, well, why then? Why keep doing this? Why all the do-overs? And the constant fighting too. Like, why engage in a culture war willingly, especially to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars lost? Well, actually, you'd be asking.
Now, here's the answer to that from my perspective. Why engage in a culture war anyway? Because people have this idea that politics is downstream from culture, when that's not the case at all. Culture is downstream from politics, and I will maintain that culture is downstream from politics. So this culture war that we're all engaging in is actually a political war, and I think that political war is far more important. It's just going to have ramifications for the culture, and so many people are apolitical at least, or politically ignorant at worst. You have to start with the thing they know, which is the culture, before you go from there.
Asking all the wrong questions. You would be assuming any of this is being made for you, and it's not. Yeah, Superman is not for you. It's not for me either. We might be the customers with the wallets, but we're not the target audience. There is no culture war over your childhood, but there is a culture war over your children.
All right, you said let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook because, again, you're talking to a dad. So you said it's a culture war. I don't disagree with that in the slightest. So let's see where you go with this. Real quick, Dash Attack with a 5-banger. I fight the culture war because I want to protect the shit I like, and it's not like we haven't had victories. Well, that's not what Wizard's saying, to be fair. He's not saying that we haven't had victories. He's basically stating that the at least, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Wizard, the vectors of attack and the things that we're doing, while there might be victories within them, hasn't really moved the needle when it comes to the corporate aspect, right? Yeah, things might flop. Furiosa might flop. Not that Furiosa was woke or anything, but like Furiosa might flop. Supergirl might flop. There's dents being put in, at the corporate level, but it doesn't actually matter since we're not the people they're making these for to begin with. So they can basically justify being like, yeah, who cares if the millennials didn't show up to Supergirl? It wasn't for them. So that's the point that I think he is making. You can correct me if I'm wrong. There's still quite a bit to go over in this video. But shout out, thank you for the 5-banger. This is for you.
I'm loving it again. The game would absolutely get a pretty high score from me.
How many bananas?
A solid 8.5 incher for sure.
No.
And wouldn't it be nice to live together?
And while, yes, I agree Spider-Man is not going to flop, I do not think it's going to do near as well as people believe it will. And whether it does or not, I'm not going to give that bullshit any money. Okay, Wizard says, yeah, I more or less got his thesis correct. Cool, just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so if the culture war on the surface is fought over what two camps of people envision as human values, well, deeper than that, the foundational core is actually what we pour into the next generation, whether people want to admit it or not. Well, then, the best place for us to start with this discussion, I think, is with a brief observation of the most recent pieces of media. June 26th, 2026 saw the release of the second film in James Gunn's DC superhero universe, Supergirl. The team who made this movie went on the record before it came out and called protagonist Kara Zor-El an anti-hero. The director said it. James Gunn confirmed it. The lead actress, Millie Allen.
What a fucking watered down term, by the way. Like, basically, once Deadpool went mainstream as a character, the word lost all meaning. People who started learning about Deadpool from memes on Facebook, like, oh, he's just the funny, zilly, wacky guy who, he wants chimichangas, and he says all this weird, off-the-wall stuff, and it's hilarious. He's an anti-hero because, like, yeah, he's a good guy, but he kills people. That is the understanding of what makes an anti-hero. It's non-existent. I hate using the term media literacy because that's like the media literacy crowd are the most insufferable individuals on the internet. But I do have to unironically say the individuals that basically made Deadpool mainstream and by proxy made the concept of the anti-hero mainstream completely fucked what an anti-hero even is. Yes, Deadpool has done irreparable damage to the culture. I could not agree more. I say this as someone who has been a fan of Deadpool since the early 2000s.
Cox said she hopes young girls walk away after seeing the film knowing it's okay to be, and I'm quoting her here, a bit bad and a bit messy. This film was marketed and positioned as empowerment for women, but also children, both little boys and little girls. Yet it sees Supergirl as a belligerent drunk and not actually being the anti-hero they claim she would be, despite that being a whole separate issue, because Supergirl is not an anti-hero. Nah, see, it's worse than that. Millie Alcock's Supergirl is positioned as a hero in the film, and she's told that she needs to be good. Be good is a repeated phrase by multiple characters, and yet the film...
And no, the OG Lobo is not a good example of an anti-hero. OG Lobo is a fucking villain. It's only due to modernity that Lobo has been retconned into being an anti-hero. Same with Venom. Again, same with Deadpool. Same with almost any other character that is listed as an anti-hero nowadays. No, these characters were straight up villains. The only classic quote-unquote anti-hero that I can think of was in fact the Punisher. I'm not saying there weren't others, but was the Punisher. It's OG Lobo is not an anti-hero.
It's not actually...
You can't be an anti-hero and cut off Santa Claus's head because you're upset that you don't get presents. Just saying. Like, OG Lobo in the... I believe it was the 90s comic run, fucking cut off Santa's head. Murdered him. Because he was mad he didn't get presents. That is not an anti-hero.
Uphold or embody the very definition it uses for being good. And they don't embody what being good means, because the uncomfortable truth is modern Hollywood doesn't believe in good or evil. Not any.
Correct. And this is why we had that long-ass discussion on Fable. When morality is subjective, good and evil cease to exist. Like that is an objective statement. If morality is subjective, then you cannot have the concepts of good and evil, which are inherently objective concepts.
More, at least. This is actually a very serious position of argument in the culture war. There is no good. There is no evil. Everything is now a kind of dangerous, sticky, morally gray. Nobody is really a hero, and anyone who strives to embody the classic virtues of heroism is a punchline, a punching bag.
This is why Han Solo as a character matters. The OG Star Wars Han Solo. Not even Empire, not even Return of the Jedi. Star Wars. Han Solo is not a good guy. Now, he's not a villain. He's not a good guy. He's a smuggler. He's a criminal. He's only willing to do things to help the heroes if there's a reward in it for him. He's a fucking dickhead, and we know that. Now, we like that concept as a character, not as our main character, but as somebody who aids the main character, as a partner in crime, so to speak, because at the end of the day, those are the kind of folk that we want to be, right? You get punished for acting like Han Solo in real life. Now, not to say that people don't do it, but by and large, you know that Han Solo is not a morally good character to emulate, which is why he works so well alongside our main hero, Luke Skywalker.
At and mocked, pissed on by the dog. No, classic morality is outdated and wrong. Superman sees the good in everyone, but I see the truth, is a quote from Supergirl in the movie. You see, goodness and the pursuit of goodness in one's real life are just bedtime stories you tell kids. The truth is for grown-ups, and the truth is that nobody's really good underneath. It's all just appetite and damage, and the mature thing is to quit pretending otherwise, which is ironic because while these writers think that they're able to extrapolate good and evil from their stories, replacing the heroes with Walter White derivatives of anti-hero, somehow they always leave in a little bit of pure, unadulterated evil. Supergirl is no different. Morally gray storytelling from Hollywood has become a belief system. Because once you decide nothing is really good and nobody is really a hero, writing gets easier. You never have to defend a standard.
Writing gets easier, but good writing becomes nigh on impossible. By the way, not even saying it's impossible. I like the Walter White comparison there because Walter White is a very effective character to use in this. Walter White does start out as more or less a traditional anti-hero, but that devolves quickly. The whole show is about his de-evolution from the person who's just doing the thing he needs to do, out of straight necessity, to straight up selfish villainy because it makes him feel good. That is very difficult to write, effectively. They did write it effectively. I mean, Breaking Bad is one of the greatest shows of all time. But it does not at any point, and the reason it's great is not because it gives Walter White a pass on those things. He is punished. There are consequences to his actions. The show is constantly reminding you that oftentimes the fact that he keeps getting in worse and worse situations as the show goes on is a consequence of his choices. It could have been mitigated if not for his selfishness, his hubris, things to that effect. His pride, which I guess is the same as hubris, but even so, War Wizard were a 5-banger. So we lost the culture war because we've lost the concept of good and evil, heroes, villains. Hate to say it, but he's right. Way to cook, Fake Wiz. So I'm still not sold on the idea that we have lost, but that is definitely his thesis. Yes, I agree. Like, it is a losing battle if we, as a society, can't come together and, reclaim these concepts of good and evil, heroes and villains. So yeah, I don't think we're there yet, but I agree with the overall idea that would be the thing that loses. Shout out. Thank you so much for the 5-banger, homie. Since we're talking about subjective morality and the fact that, there is no good and evil, this is for you.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
All right, let's keep going.
Because you don't have one. You never have to make a character earn anything because there's nothing left to earn. And never risk telling the audience something they don't want to hear. Because the entire creed of morally gray boils down to everybody's a little bad. So just relax. And that's funny because the people who tell you there's no such thing as good and bad are usually the people capable of doing the most bad. Okay, so that puts us in a position where we see what's being made today, right? Supergirl is just one of many remakes fitting the morally gray structure, but that puts us in a position where we need to roll it back and properly define what is goodness. Well, it's not a vibe. It's not a personality. Aristotle defined goodness around 340 BC as that which aligns with human flourishing, the pursuit of ultimate happiness, or the word he used, which was eudaimonia, living a life of purpose, meaning, and rational activity in accordance with virtue, rather than simply chasing temporary pleasure. Conversely, evil, as noted later by Augustine and then Aquinas, is not necessarily an opposing force, at least not always. Evil is...
So, Adam C. says something, and I think this actually complements what Wizard was saying with the definition of goodness pretty well. The heroes don't kill moral code allowed the villains to kill so many people and trip people IRL into adopting suicidal empathy. If you look back into let's say the ancient Greek fables, right? Hercules, Beowulf, these characters that were considered heroes. They were not heroes due to their empathy or anything. They were heroes because they did the fucked up things. They went to war. They killed. I was going to say they murdered. They didn't really murder because murder is not the same as killing. Murder is a specific type of killing. But the point is, the people that were considered heroes, Robin Hood, were heroes because they did the thing that most men wouldn't do. Even if it was grim, even if it was uncomfortable, there was always a justification in that this will lead to a better outcome for my fellow man. Now, for me, for my fellow man. And that's why the Greek concept of like the hero is vastly different than now. And that form of, quote unquote, being good would still be in line with, the Aristotle quote that Wizard used. Matt Frog for a 2-banger. I don't think we lost because these movies bomb often, but that's whether they bomb or not is irrelevant. A lot of movies bomb and they still go on to maintain being part of the cultural zeitgeist. UHF by Weird Al fucking bombed at the box office. But everyone ended up seeing it on VHS or on TV or whatnot. So El Mervon with a 2-banger. Knights of the Seven Kingdoms did well showing a hero. I wouldn't know. I don't watch gay ass shit like that. I don't watch anything Game of Thrones related. Some heroes not killing is correct because it's a challenge to not kill. We still like Punisher. Why? Because he dispatches bad guys. Yeah, you can find the flaw of the logic. Like Batman's whole "I'm not gonna kill" is logically ridiculous. But it is morally consistent. Now, I don't like it. I'm not a Batman fan, but you can find the moral consistency within it. But shout out, thank you for the supers, guys. Appreciate you.
It's more of a deficiency or separation from goodness. Which means for you to be good requires active participation, choosing to do the right thing despite how hard it might be.
Garrett,
and
after
so
this
that
game, the
leads
video's
us
over.
to courage, right? You must actively be courageous in order to pursue goodness. It's not easy to do the right thing all the time. Being courageous is not the absence of fear. It's the choice to continue onward despite fear. Okay, so reframing, because this is a lot. One who pursues true goodness must pursue a life of purpose and meaning. And to accomplish that, you must be brave, all of which derives from the choices that you make. And those choices don't just mean action forward, they can also require restraint. See, cowards fail because they can't act, but brutes fail because they don't know when to stop. Someone who is pursuing goodness is standing in the gap of that. They can inflict damage, but choose not to instead. Well, that adds another layer to this. In order to pursue goodness, you must wrestle with the possibility of inflicting harm and or doing wrong. For example, a guard dog that bites everyone isn't good. A guard dog with no teeth isn't good either. The best guard dog is one that can tear the bad guy's arm off, but is capable of restraint. Having teeth is a requirement of being good. If you take their teeth away, or bringing it back to humans here, if you take away the ability to inflict harm, then there's nothing left to admire. You're just harmless. And if you are harmless, you cannot be all good, because as we said, to be good means you must actively choose to do the right thing. Those who have swords and know how to use them, but keep them sheathed, will inherit the world. Goodness is not harmlessness.
So, Wizard, I don't know if you're going to get this reference, but most of my audience are anime fans. They will. Me and Cindy had a field day with his tweets, and we weren't even streaming. She sent it to me or I sent it to her. I don't remember which it was, and we just roasted it into oblivion. Frieren, somebody posted a post on X about how Himmel the hero in Frieren would have been better if he was more morally gray. And we laughed our asses off at idiot modern-day anime tourists who believe shit like this. The entire reason that Frieren as a character works is because years after Himmel's death, because he was just a regular human and she's an elf, only now is she truly understanding in her new quest to save the world after he's long dead and gone. Only is she now understanding the merits and the morals of what Himmel was trying to teach, and why he was always going out of his way and putting off fighting the demon to do these side quests to save the people in the town from something silly or something relatively mundane in the grand scheme of they need to go fight the demon lord. I started watching it yesterday. It takes something like a grade A retard. Himmel the hero is the ideal human, right? He is very much like Superman when it comes to his moral grounding. It does not matter if the thing is harder to do or if the thing seems mundane in the grand scheme of things. Just like the point was, always do right, regardless of what that right is. And so by making him quote unquote morally gray, it would completely destroy Frieren's journey as a character, which is as an elf that's lived for thousands of years and not really seeing the virtues and the necessities in the temporary, or not temporary, but like the fleeting morality of humans because they've got such short lifespans. She thinks that she's beyond that. And not even that she doesn't even think she's beyond it. She just doesn't understand it because as an elf who can live for thousands upon thousands of years, they've got an entirely different ethical system. And it's only after his passing that she comes to respect and understand said ethical system. Having him be morally gray would unravel the entire meaning behind not just his character, but her journey.
Goodness is power aimed and controlled. And do you know one of the greatest characters in the last 100 years of fiction to exhibit these values of goodness happens to be none other than Superman himself. Yes, and I think it's best we take it back to 1938 with the invention of the character.
I'm not going to watch. I'm going to be real, guys. You guys can say it until you're blue in the face. Watch Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I won't. I'm not even saying it's bad. I don't fucking care. I just don't care about Game of Thrones related things. Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Oh, by the way, I watched season 1 of House of the Dragon and I liked it. Never watched anything else. I have zero interest in it. I won't enjoy it. Even if it's good, I won't enjoy it because by and large, I'm not a fantasy viewer. I'm far more of a sci-fi guy. It takes a lot to get me to like fantasy stuff. So I could not care. I don't care about Game of Thrones after the ending. I only ever watched the very first episode of the actual OG Game of Thrones. That's it. Only ever watched the first episode. It is not my bag.
Action Comics, dreamed up by two Jewish teenagers out of Cleveland, saw Superman as, quote, a champion of the oppressed. So that's our mission statement. Superman must be strong enough to fight oppression and also a champion of the people, as something worth looking up to or aspiring to be. Superman.
Based wizard for using the Fleischer cartoon. Arguably the greatest interpretation of Superman outside the comics, just saying.
Isn't good because he's strong. He's the strongest there is, and that's exactly why his goodness counts. This man could take the whole planet in an afternoon, and instead, he puts on a pair of glasses and works a job like a regular guy because he sees this planet as his home. It's a place worth fighting for, which means he chooses restraint every single day. And why? Why choose restraint? Why choose to become Clark Kent?
And that is why the oh my goodness, what's it called? What's the comic arc in the alternate universe where Superman finally does snap and kills the Joker? I'm blanking on the name. But anyway, that's why that comic is so compelling, because it's not Superman, and it is interesting as a sort of what if story to see what happens when the uncorruptible good man, Injustice. Thank you. Yeah, Injustice. It's literally even called Injustice. You know, the inversion, the opposite of justice. Because it is interesting as a thought exercise in an alternate universe where there's no consequences to Superman's actual character being affected. See what would happen if the incorruptible God who chose the life of a man does break. And as a one-off story, that's cool. That's interesting because we can juxtapose it to Superman himself, to Superman as the character that we know him. The big blue Boy Scouts. But when everything has fucking become injustice, then it loses all weight, all meaning. It's not interesting any fucking more.
Well, because he was raised by two people in Kansas who taught him the values of being good and more so, being kind. Which also means that parents, or really parental figures, have that kind of impact on the next generation, you see? Our moral argument here is that the culture war is not just about what's here to entertain you and I, but what kind of beliefs and ideals we leave behind. For decades, writers have done versions of Superman where his ship lands in different places on Earth. What if Superman landed in Soviet Russia? What if he lands in medieval England or rural England? What if he's raised by the Wayne family and he becomes Batman? What if the US government gets him and locks him underground his whole life? See, every what if puts Superman in a position where his morals and ideals are all bent by the circumstances he's raised inside of. Take the Kent family away from Kal-El, and he isn't raised to be Clark Kent, which means he isn't raised with love for humanity, which means he's far less inclined to show restraint when he uses his powers, because nobody ever showed him a reason worth restraining himself for. Same baby, same ship, same impossible strength, but you landed in a place that doesn't believe in goodness, and that child will have a much harder time learning about and finding goodness.
And to equate this to the modern day, and I assume where Wizard is going with this, we are being given shoveled media, whether it be movies, whether it be games, whether it be music, whether it be anything, in terms of just consumable media, that it's not for us. We're already adults. You know, our moral compasses are pretty much already what they're going to be. Very rarely do people change once they get beyond, let's say, 25 or so. Now, that's impossible. Some people can, but by and large, most people don't change. Superman or Supergirl or any of these modern movies or whatnot, the reason they're not for us isn't because we're not the ones with the money. We are the ones that are paying for this. We are the ones that are choosing whether or not to see it or let our children consume it or whatnot. But these are the messages and moral, if you want to call them that, the moral philosophies that our kids would think about and potentially shape their worldview by. Now look, I was raised with my dad. I love my dad. He instilled in me a very good, strong moral code. But I'd also be a fucking liar if I said that a whole lot of my moral code wasn't taken from being 6 years old watching Dragon Ball, right? Because like that's what kids do, especially in the modern age when media is so easily accessible, whether it be, TV in the 90s or video games. Look, we looked at these characters and we drew comparisons to the what was happening on screen and applied it to the real world, apply it to our world. Like, me and my friends talked about what would happen. I remember an actual long conversation I had with an old friend. I was in maybe 4th or 5th grade, and we just started theory crafting before that was ever even a term. What would happen if Anakin never turned to the dark side? And you can't have a conversation like that without bringing up the moral and philosophical and historical implications of it. Now, did we realize that we were getting deep and philosophical while doing it? No. For us, it was just it was just cool for a couple of, 4th, 5th grade nerds to have a what-if conversation about Star Wars. But when you look back on it, that is the type of conversation you're having. So when you tell a modern-day Superman story, or you tell the Supergirl or whatnot to these kids that don't have a formal understanding of morals and philosophy, then yes, that's absolutely going to shape their worldview. Consciously, subconsciously, doesn't matter.
And the sad part is that all of these Superman what-ifs that we just discussed aren't hypotheticals. We are doing an experiment with it right now, on purpose, with every child alive in the West. Because children don't only learn what's good from their mom and dad, they learn from stories we hand them, from movies they watch, from games they play, from other children, from their educators, and from their extended families. Yes, children are a combination of all these things, but what happens to a generation when every story they're handed has decided that goodness and being good was a lie all along? What happens when kids aren't raised with Superman and they only get super fella? Well, you already know the answer. You raise a whole generation of Kal-Els who never got Kansas. So what exactly is Hollywood replacing Aristotle's eudaimonia with? Morally gray storytelling. Everything is morally gray. Everyone is compromised. And sure, morally gray storytelling can be engaging at times. Most people point to Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Game of Thrones, as stories that are compelling as a means of being a North Star. Walter White is one of the most interesting characters of the century. Therefore, everything should mirror Walter White. Isn't that right? Rings of Power? When used correctly, gray storytelling still knows that goodness is real, and
well, here's something I don't know if maybe he will bring it up or not, but I think it might be important to specify. Most morally gray storytelling isn't for kids. It's Superman, Spider-Man, those are stories for everybody, but they're for kids, right? Every example he used of good morally gray storytelling, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, children should not be watching those. Those are very obviously for fucking grown-ups. Like, look, I love True Detective. True Detective season 1 is one of the most incredible shows of all time. And there's a whole lot of grayness in True Detective. True Detective is also not a show you would ever show a fucking child. So yeah, if we're going to be talking about whether or not morally gray storytelling and whatnot works, obviously if written well, it can. I like a lot of morally gray stories. Those aren't the things to be showing your kids to begin with. Like, you can show your kids things that are for an older age or whatnot. Like T2, Terminator 2, I show my kid, that's a rated R movie, right? Terminator 2 is not a morally gray story, even if it is rated R, Like, it's rated R for swearing, violence, things like that. But the end of the day, the message is still a good, moral, hopeful message. So, yeah, that's the sort of thing that I think is totally fine for children. Obviously, parental discretion, up to you, but you get my point.
It shows you the good with some pieces taken out. But Hollywood treats morally gray as a philosophy. It's less of a tool to elevate goodness and more like a religion, a belief system. As a belief, morally gray removes all definitions. See, earlier we spent time defining good and evil, that to pursue goodness requires active participation. Well, if everything is morally gray, then there is no goodness. Nobody is
And mind you, he says active participation. That is, there's a twisted neo-Marxist inversion of that. Oh, silence is violence. If you're not part of the problem, or if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. it's not enough to not see race. You need to be actively anti-racist. You're being told by the neo-Marxists, who are absolutely, they're all in on morally gray, unless it's the type of activism or whatnot, the type of putting yourself in the position and going out and doing something that suits their agenda. So this is an idea that can be twisted and inverted, and that's actually more dangerous than the morally gray aspect, because they're because they're treating this propaganda and this activism as if it is goodness, because they will never actually define real goodness. They will just use empathy as goodness. And again, we've got the term for that now, suicidal empathy. Didn't used to be a term, very recent term, but weaponizing empathy as a way to show your goodness is, it's performative at best, and it's actively damaging at worst.
Actually good, and nobody is actually evil. People just do things. Some of them do nice things, some of them do terrible things, but it all runs on one engine underneath, and that is, what did I want right then in that exact moment? It's a reductionist view of human beings, that everything we do is built on inherent desires and selfishness.
Worse than being reductive, it's secular. And I will die on that hill. Worse than there's nothing more damaging than secularism.
We do as we want, because we can. Everything is preference and appetite. And as we said before, if nothing is really good and there aren't really heroes, then there is no standard to defend, because you have no standards. There is nothing to earn, nothing really to overcome, because nobody set a bar anywhere for anyone to clear. Nobody has to be brave, since bravery was just a preference too. There's no hard right and no easy wrong. There's only the easy thing and the slightly less easy thing. And someone picking one over the other isn't a victory. It's just a mood. And what's interesting inside of this morally gray belief is how everyone points to Walter White as being a morally gray character. No, he's a villain. He's a bad guy. So is Tony Soprano. In Game of Thrones, almost everyone is villainous, and we find all of them interesting because bad people are interesting. A great villain is one of the best things a story can put in front of you. It just so happens that all of these stories have villains as the protagonists. There is no spectrum of grayness here. But look at what happens. If you take away good and evil from your story, then all that's left is bad guys. Let's go back to Supergirl, a film that dearly wants its protagonist to exist in a world that is morally gray, and yet the villain is anything but morally gray. Krem of the Brigands is a representation of pure internet fantasy evil. The only thing missing on this guy was a mustache that he could twirl. He has child brides in cages. He believes in eugenics. He's a bloodthirsty murderer, constantly seen on screen eating like an animal. So he's disgusting. He looks disgusting too. His men are also all disgusting. And there is no characterization, no depth, and no reason to see him as anything other than a checklist of everything a chronically online person thinks that evil looks like.
Now, frankly, I actually don't have an issue with that. And I've heard a lot of people describe this villain. The way I kind of, I'm not saying that because I don't know if Wizard's giving his thoughts on this or not. I miss the mustache twirling villain. I do. I want my villains to be bad for the sake of being bad, because being bad just feels good. Most of my favorite villains, Carnage, Frieza, they're bad because they're just fucking, it's fun. And we've all been there, dude. We've all been like 6-year-old, steal a Butterfinger or something from the convenience store, and you get home and your mom finds that Butterfinger, you pull it out of your pocket and she catches you. And where'd you get that? You didn't steal it because, oh, you really wanted Butterfinger. Stole it because, sometimes it just feels good to be bad. And you get your ass beat for it, and you're like, it doesn't matter how good it fucking feels. You don't do it. It's fucking wrong. Dio Brando is another example. Yeah, Dio Brando is a great example. And that's the way you learn as a child. Yeah, just because something feels good doesn't mean it's worth it.
Every box is ticked, every atrocity stacked, until he's so irredeemably vile that the only moral response becomes to kill him. And that is like a tell in poker. A screenwriter who actually believed in the goal.
Skeletor was the best part of the new Masters of the Universe. Now, I didn't hate it as much as other people did. I was very, lukewarm to it. I think Master of the Universe is like the definition of mid. It is a 5 out of 10 movie. And I hate giving props to Jared Leto, but Skeletor was the best part.
Ray, who actually thought good and evil are childish concepts, wouldn't need to. She could write a complicated man, somebody whose actions you understand, even if you hate them, is similar to the way Walter White works in the later seasons. Instead, she wrote a caricature of evil so pure and so ugly that you never have to sit with the weight of the choice of mercy. Supergirl tortures and then executes this man guilt-free. And here's what that means. The writer doesn't believe there's no good and evil. No, she believes it deeply enough to demand you see evil when she points it out. She just doesn't believe in the good anymore. But these writers, well, they believe in evil plenty. Yeah, and it's a really nasty problem now. These writers don't believe in goodness, so when they're assigned a character or characters that embody goodness, they do things to them to change how audiences perceive.
Shout out to Sevi with the heavy. He says, oh, wow, look, 9 months. To make a pregnancy joke or not to make a pregnancy joke. Oh, decisions. Shout out. Thank you, hun.
Those heroes. Sometimes it's by making them the butt of every joke. Sometimes it's by deconstructing them. But overall, this is one that's really key because you already have emotional attachments to those heroes from their past iterations. The changes that are being made in today's adaptations are not for you. They are to redefine how heroes are perceived by your children specifically. Masters of the Universe sees Adam as the absolute butt.
Okay, so he's going to talk about Masters of the Universe. Interesting. All right.
Of every joke. Every moment that he starts to get agency, we see him pulled back down so the writers can say, no, you're He-Man. He-Man is stupid and embarrassing. We need to make sure the audience laughs at you and not with you. His companion and mentor.
And I would say that's mostly accurate. Here's why the comedy in He-Man, because I said I had a massive issue with the comedy in He-Man. And I think, Wizard encapsulates why. When the humor is meta, and so much of the humor in the movie is meta, it fucking fails. When the humor is in universe, actually does get some chuckles out of you. Like the comedy isn't bad when it's in universe, when it's situationally what's happening within the context of the story, or when it's jokes that when the characters are making jokes to each other and they're in character jokes. They want you laughing at He-Man, not with him. That's what I'm saying. Like, because that's what the meta humor is. The meta humor is like, you remember this dumb gay cartoon from the 80s? Yeah, laugh at it because we all acknowledge now that it's been 40 years that it was dumb and gay. Whereas the in-universe jokes, as few as there were, did work. So yeah, I agree with this statement completely.
Man-at-Arms is reduced to a toxic masculinity talking point. A belligerent drunk who confesses that his daughter is the soldier he wishes he could have been. Toy Story 5 tells 4 stories in one that all converge at the end. One of which is the story with Buzz and Woody as they chase after Jessie. Well, Woody, despite being the main protagonist of the series, has nothing to do here other than get mocked, made fun of, chewed on, and sidestepped the entire film. Buzz, who spent the previous 4 movies being a brave leader for the toys, is a gender role swapped and reduced to being a timid coward.
Was that a little editing mistake there? Did you double record a line, buddy?
Or too afraid to propose to Jessie, so she has to do it for him. And when she kisses him, his leg pops like a swooning girl in a 50s cartoon. And when they get married, it's Buzz who walks down the aisle. Isn't it funny? Aren't we laughing? It's just funny ha-has. The opening...
I make them all the time. That's why I was messing with you.
Scene of Supergirl is Crypto the dog whizzing on a newspaper that has Superman's face on it, setting the tone that Superman is a joke. This is continued with Superman's appearances in the film being uncharacteristically insecure, stumbling over his words, and being, again, mocked on screen by the writers who clearly have nothing but animosity towards the character. And so that...
Which is funny, because I haven't seen Supergirl. But I'm sure Wizard can confirm or deny this. From what I've heard, the minute and a half or so that he is on screen in Supergirl, he is actually more Superman, like he acts more like Superman than he ever did in his own film. That is the consensus I've heard.
Brings us full circle and back to the top. I said earlier that the war is over. The reason for that is that regardless of the amount of money made or lost, these movies will keep getting produced, despite audiences begging for them to stop.
Now, here's where I disagree, sort of. Because I've actually made this same argument, but I've also debunked this same argument that I have made. It's not that they inherently will keep being made regardless whether audiences want them to stop or not. That is 100% a possibility. It's a war of attrition. What happens first? Because this is an ideological battleground. And like I said, this is about culture being downstream from politics, not vice versa. Because this is an ideological battleground, and the politics are changing, or at least we're wanting them to change, and therefore culture is also changing, it is a war of attrition as to what happens first. Do the politics change enough before they run out of money to keep pushing this subversive post-Marxism? I don't know which it is. I think it's absolutely possible that, look, they've got endless gobs of money for the rest of all time. They can keep pushing this narrative, lose money on every endeavor, and it doesn't matter because the message is more important. But they can only propagate that message as long as the money is exchanging hands. So the less we see and the less we support and whatnot these products, the more money is wasted, drains the coffers faster. It's definitely excuse me, it's a war of attrition. I don't think that we have enough information to go either way yet.
And with each installment, less and less of what made the property great remains. And the reason to keep making installments is because it's not meant to capture you. You're not the customer. You already experienced real He-Man, real Buzz and Woody. You know the real Superman. You were there when the original stories were told. What is being made now is to give your children a different worldview than what you have today.
And that is where we get into the politics of it. Because that's why they do things like the Online Child Safety Act. If they control the means of how children consume media, if they put it in the hands of the nanny state instead of you as the parent, it is easier for them to ideologically capture your children. That is their end goal. That's what they want to do. They want to ideologically capture your children because your children is nothing but property of the state. That is the way they see it. And they want to make it harder for you to raise your children as the actual primary caregiver, as the one that should be doing the parenting. Your immediate family, the church. They want the secular state to take care of it. Left, right, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, doesn't fucking matter. That is the end goal of the state, is to take away your agency as a parent. So while this is what they're trying to do, and I fully agree with Wizard, that's what they're trying to do. They want to feed these children these morally gray, supposedly apolitical stories that it is nothing but an attempt to capture them and change their morals as they grow into adulthood, because they'll be part of the next generation in the workforce, in the culture, going into politics, things to that effect. Which is why it is so ungodly important for parents to actually parent their fucking kids.
You may say, Wizard, these are box office bombs. No one is seeing these. Yes, that's true. But they are getting lots of views on streaming. And so whereas you had Luke Skywalker, Indiana Jones, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Thundercats, Hercules, Tarzan, Frodo, and Sam, kids today have no original to measure against. First,
which is why I wholeheartedly support things like K-pop Demon Hunters. K-pop Demon Hunters is an incredible movie. It was an incredible movie, and it's a movie that I was very happy that my kid liked, because it was a great movie, and it's one of those things that they very well could fuck it up with the additional sequels, the expansions of the lore, the whole nine. But man, was K-pop Demon Hunters a breath of fresh fucking air.
Because they look at original Star Wars and they say, ew, that looks old. That's my mom and dad's movies. That's grandpa's movies. Yeah, that's number one. Everything has.
And thankfully, I don't think that's here's where I think Wizard's wrong. I don't think most kids think that. Now, to be fair, I've only got anecdotal evidence. My experience, my friends that have kids, their experience, my boy Blue Collar Loser, he went and took his kid to see a re-release of Superman 78, the Christopher Reeve one. And within the first 10 minutes of the movie, he looked over to his dad, Blue Collar Loser, our boy, and goes, "Yeah, Dad, this is already better than Man of Steel." Like we reviewed Superman 78 over on my boy Plots Right Back, Nick's channel. It was incredible. I'd always loved that movie. I had forgotten how much I loved that movie, how truly amazing it was until I did the rewatch of it for the stream. So the idea that kids are like, oh, that's dad's movie, that's grandpa's movie, that's unk slop, I don't think is true. Like, my kid played through the entirety of the OG Resident Evil 4. Has never even touched the remake. Played through the entirety of OG Resident Evil 4. She fucking loved it. Says it's her favorite video game of all time. Grew up playing Minecraft. On a whim, wanted to play Resident Evil. Give her Resident Evil 4 from 2005. She loved it. Now, not every parent is doing this with their kids and getting their kids invested in classic culture. And I think that's a problem. But I also don't think that kids inherently are like, oh, it's new stuff, therefore, or oh, it's old stuff, therefore it's bad.
Has aged, and kids are fickle, which means one side is coming to this culture war with
you bring up black and white films. My kid watched the original 1928 Nosferatu when she was like 8 years old and loved it. Like, she had to read the whole thing. It was a silent film. She loved Nosferatu. We watched it on Halloween a few years ago.
Vulnerability, a hole in the armor. Stories of the past are bound to the past. And secondly, because what was made for the children of today is a feminized Buzz Lightyear. What's made for them is Superman getting mocked and belittled, and Woody getting mocked and belittled. He-Man is a joke. Lilo and Stitch made $1 billion in 2025 and saw Nani abandon the family for college. The aliens are bad guys. The whole found family arc of the original animated film has been destroyed in the remake. Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of the greatest fantasy stories put to screen. Zuko's redemption arc is fantastic. Well, the live-action replacement, not remake, replacement, from Netflix undermines everything that made the original great at every single level. See, it's everything. It's everywhere. Not even Avatar from Nickelodeon could survive. Every story of every time is on the table, just waiting for a hope-devoid writer to get their grubby hands on it. And because the kids have nothing to compare against, they don't feel the downgrade, because you can't miss a thing.
Now, I will say that's not only true for kids. I think that's true for a lot of people in general. Because there are upgrades, and the upgrades are surface level. They're aesthetic. Like, people talk about XYZ video game. Resident Evil. Let's use Resident Evil example, because I always talk about Resident Evil. People do not feel the downgrade of these modern Resident Evil remakes because they're so obsessed with, oh, the graphics are better. Oh, the voice acting is better. The visual fidelity, the gameplay being over the shoulder instead of tank controls. Okay. Sure, it might be visually better in that regard. The graphics on the PlayStation 4 and 5 are objectively better than PS1. But what did you lose in terms of character writing? What did you lose in terms of storytelling? What did you lose in terms of like all the classic hallmarks of good writing? So the aesthetics of thing being better can actually be objective, and people gravitate towards that regardless of their age. Because I've seen a whole lot of people suck the dick of the modern Resident Evil games without realizing that all they're doing is praising the surface level shit.
You never knew existed. The emasculated versions of heroes don't feel like deflation because they never saw the peak. For them, Superman getting pissed on by a dog is the baseline. And it runs deeper than any single character because they're not just setting a child's idea of Buzz Lightyear or Superman or Luke Skywalker or Aang. They're setting the child's idea of heroes, period. Now consider what we said in part 1. If goodness is power aimed and controlled, then a hero is a dangerous thing that chooses mercy. If every hero a kid meets between ages 3 and 13 is an insecure, fumbling, bumbling, declawed idiot that must be apologized for, our hero quietly stops meaning the guy who learns to choose to be good. No, heroes are just jesters with superpowers, and at that point, all
I love taking trolls, Lesis.
Emotional attachment and meaning is lost. You don't have to teach a child to sneer at heroism. You just have to make sure they never once see the real thing, and then they themselves will not have any heroes to compare their own lives to. Nothing for them to aim at. What do you get on the other end of where there are no heroes? You get morally gray monsters. August.
I would say, yeah, you also get there being no villains. Like, why are people out there celebrating Luigi Mangione after he, in cold-blooded murder, iced a dude because of his job at an insurance company, right? It doesn't matter if you agree that, oh man, the insurance companies fuck with people all the time and they do horrible, immoral things. Like two things can be true. Yes, insurance companies can do some sick, evil shit. But also, Luigi Mangione may or may not have, and by the way, did, put a gun to a dude's head and paint the pavement with his brains. You can't celebrate that as, oh, well, it's morally gray because the insurance companies are also evil. No, that's not how the world should work. The fact that there is not universal condemnation of Luigi Mangione, from the men at least, because he was, like, conventionally attractive and women are retarded. So, of course, women are going to love him. But the fact there was not universal condemnation from men says a lot.
Dean had a word for this 1,600 years ago, and it's something we discussed before. Privation. Evil doesn't build. It doesn't need to. No, evil removes good and creates distance from goodness. So whether or not any writer or Hollywood executive drew any of this on a whiteboard or planned for this to be the outcome, it doesn't matter. The outcome here is the same, whether planned or not. A whole generation is getting its template for courage and goodness and what a man is even allowed to be from writers who think the entire concept of goodness is fraudulent. Be selfish. Because if you could be selfish, or if we can indoctrinate your children to be selfish.
Hey, shout out War Wizard for a 5-banger. He didn't even do that. He shot the guy in the back at a distance like a hero and took off. Yeah, true enough. Didn't even come up and actually put the barrel to his head. You're right. It was at a distance. Shout out War Wizard. Thank you for the 5-banger, homie. This is for you. You racist motherfuckers. Bring you back.
Look at this nigga's face. Look at his face. Look at his fucking face.
Fuck you, dude. Fuck you. Appreciate you, War Wizard. Thank you.
It allows us to get away with being selfish because the people to challenge the selfish aren't there to know that being selfish is antithetical to being good. Today's media is not being made for you. It is being made to erase you. At this point, I know many of you might find that what we've discussed here today seems hopeless and black-pilled, and I know
it does, which is why I get it. Wizard understands the algorithm. All right, when he titles a video, the culture war is over, you lost. He knows there's gonna be some provocative shit. That doesn't mean a lot of ways. Now again, there's been things I disagree with throughout this video, to be fair, but I would say that he is at least 80% on the money. But it does come out as very black pilling. And I hope he says some white pill shit at the end here, because I myself, the black pill is too akin to nihilism. There is no, there's nothing about the philosophy of nihilism that justifies you staying alive. Like, if you actually subscribe to the concept of nihilism, then just pack it in. You're done. There's no reason for you to live. If you're a nihilist and you believe things can't get better, we're just floating on a rock in space, and eventually the heat death of the universe is going to take out the entire universe, and so there's no future for humans. Like, if you believe in any of that, then why do you even continue to stay alive? Why do you continue to live? Because you're not living. You're already dead in your own mind. If you're an actual nihilist, nihilism is the most ridiculous philosophy to live by as a sentient being, Even Nietzsche himself denounced nihilism. So there needs to be, after an incredibly black pilling video like this, needs to be some sort of white pill at the end.
That because I read many of your comments, but I'd like to resolve our discussion here with a call to action. I said earlier that the culture war was over and that you lost, and it's because stories are being told today that dismantle the value of stories across all of human history. This is not going to stop. They are making hundreds more even right this very minute. It doesn't matter if you personally are not seeing them. Some people are. And if they're normies, they're walking away thinking they have a grasp on who Supergirl is. They see Rings of Power and they think they understand Tolkien. They'll see the upcoming Narnia remake with a female Aslan the Lion that takes place in the era of rock and roll from Greta Gerwig and think they have a grasp on C.S. Lewis. It's never going to stop. So no, we lost the war, but the truth is we were never going to win.
They'll see these modern day Dune movies and think they have a grasp on Frank Herbert. Reminder, guys, just a quick reminder, the Dune movies fucking suck! Just had to get that out of my system. Sorry, Wizard.
That fight. They're too powerful. They own too much. We've given too many chances and too many freebies. The war over the studios, over Hollywood, over movies and TV and entertainment, over who gets to hold the pen on Superman this year. That war was never winnable, and it was never the war that actually mattered.
That war is winnable, just not in the way that many of us that do content on the internet claim it is. Again, it's not that the war is not winnable. It's that the battles we're fighting inside war are kind of irrelevant because it's a bait and switch. It's kind of like that. Y'all ever hear the Stonehenge UFO story? Stonehenge UFO story. I'm blanking on the name. It was an actual British operation in the 90s where the British government, and I think actually some individuals, some agencies from the American government as well, but I could be wrong on that part, set up an actual large-scale monitoring of Stonehenge due to the amount of crop circles that have been popping up there. And on day 2, one of them supposedly happened. And it was this huge media circus. The media was there. They're following the whole 9. And on day 2, turned out it was a hoax. The crop circle was fake. They left a fake, like astrology board game at the center of the crop circle, to fuck with the scientists that were behind the whole thing. This was actually a bait and switch by the government and these agencies, because at the same time, a couple miles away, there's an entirely different op that was going on, covering crop circles that was completely out of the purview of the public. It was being ran by a different organization within the government. It was not receiving any media attention. And no, not all crop circles are fake. About 96% of them are, but not all of them are, which is an incredibly crazy thing. We need to do crop circles on Tinfoil Haters. The point is, when you've got the public looking at one thing, it's very easy to keep their attention on that while you do the opposite and they never notice. And then that's what's happening with the culture war.
I told you at the very beginning, there is no culture war over you. There is a culture war over your children. And that war rages.
And see, here's where Wizard's wrong again. It's not when he says there's no culture war over you, the culture war over the children, he's correct, does exist. It is only over the children of conservative or right-leaning people, because left-leaning people don't have kids, they abort them.
And that's one that you could still win. And the fight is not out there. It's not in the comments section or the box office. It's in your house with your own kids. It's with your families, your nieces and nephews, your friends, your communities. We spent this whole video proving one thing above all the rest. Superman is not Superman because of Krypton. He is Superman because of Kansas. Because 2 people on a farm bothered to raise a deity to be confident and kind. It's your job to be Kansas. It is up to you to be the Kent family for the next generation, for the current generation.
Now, this is all true. However, not everybody knows that this is going on, which is why the culture war does still matter to you, because different people get woken up to the culture war at different times. How many people didn't get invested in it until The Last Jedi? Or how many people didn't get invested in it until they started seeing women with man jaws in their video games and whatnot? Now, me, I've been here since fucking Gamergate, 2014, right? Last 12 years. That being said, different people get involved at different times. If you're a parent and you're only recently learning about this stuff, then it's because of videos like Wizards or like mine or like Hypnos or Geeks Gamers or anyone that are there. New people are joining YouTube every day. New people are becoming parents every day. So it's still worth talking about the individual battles. Just the W isn't from when Supergirl flops to the box office. That is a W, but that's a W that's more just like fun than actually relevant. It's about what happens when enough people are waking up and noticing this and doing something about it within their own home, which is what Wizard is saying.
We turn to entertainment as a means of finding values worth embodying in our own lives, and it is time to start living them today, to be there for each other, to be a better father, a better brother, better son, better mother, sister, daughter, a better friend. You know the truth. You lived it. You got the best versions of every story worth telling in our era. Heroes who paid for their goodness with sacrifice and hard choices. And because you got all that, it is on you to be that for the people who get none of it now. Now, normally on videos like this, I often resolve by saying that it's up to you now to go tell stories and make the next wave of entertainment to compete with and replace what we have today. And that message very much still stands. But I think there's more to this one here. I think there's more action to be done. I think it's not so much in a massive creative project, though maybe it is for you, so much as it maybe is holding the door open a little longer for someone. It's saying hi. It's mowing the grass of your elderly neighbors and not expecting anything in return. It's being an ear for a friend who needs to vent. It's being present, not even just for everyone else, but for you too. There are things in your life that you can fight for, and maybe you should. Maybe there are things you've been putting off for too long, and if you took care of today, your life would be better for it. And if you could make your life a little better, maybe then you could tentatively offer a hand to see how you might help others too. We spend so much time talking about heroes and stories of heroes. It's your time now. It's your time up there. I think we have a lot of work to do. And it's going to come down to us. Until next time, create, innovate, inspire, and cancel Disney Plus.
Yeah, great video from Wizard. I still do stand by the few disagreements I had, but that was a great video. I think he's got like more or less the core of the point correct. The idea that the culture war is, ever raging, ongoing. That doesn't mean there's no end to it. I just think that, again, the culture war is a term these days that really doesn't mean too terribly much. By the way, I put the video in the link. If you guys aren't familiar with this content or don't follow and whatnot, he's my boy. We're gonna be going to Southeast Game Exchange in 2 weeks and doing a massive indie game program there. It's gonna be incredible. Anyway, the idea that Wizard is going for here is not incorrect. That being said, remember, politics is not downstream from culture. People say all the time, oh, politics is downstream from culture. It's not. Culture is downstream from politics. The culture war is a political war, but most people are either politically uninformed or politically black-pilled, or they're apolitical, or just they don't understand politics, whatever it may be. And you have to start with what they do know, what they do care about. People might not give a fuck about digital ID because it's so esoteric and they've never really thought about it because people prefer convenience. They do care when Spider-Man's fucked with. And if you can use that as the entry point to get them into discussing politics, then yeah, that like if you can make the jump slowly over time from how, making Spider-Man black and gay has now led to Muslims cutting off people's heads and raping 9-year-old girls in the UK, that's going to go a long way eventually. You don't start with the Alex Jones shit, but you use Spider-Man to get them to the Alex Jones shit. So yeah, that's why pop culture shapes politics, because they care about pop culture. No. You're wrong. Politics shapes culture, not the other way around. The culture stuff is happening because of politics. The politics come first. The culture comes after. But when you talk to people, you're working backwards. You got to start with culture to work them back to politics, not vice versa. Because earlier, is Vegeta a villain or a hero? He is eventually a hero. For the vast majority of Dragon Ball, he's a villain. Straight up, he is a villain. Even into the even into the Cell games, Vegeta is still a bad guy. He's a nicer guy, but he's still a fucking bad guy. Vegeta does not actually begin his true hero's journey until after the Cell arc. Alrighty, let's see. We got at least one more video here. After that, admittedly emotionally poignant video. Vegeta killed a lot of people in that stadium. Yes, he did. That's why that's when he begins his hero's journey. Because the Majin Vegeta stuff is a little, again, it's a great arc. It is. It's a great arc. All right. We roasted PlayStation enough earlier. Now we're going to, I assume, roast Xbox. The chuds are in control.
Xbox and the video game industry is going into the shitter. It's going into the shitter.
Good.
It's getting worse at a rapid rate, and it's getting so bad. And Frogan stuff. Oh, there's Frogan stuff too. We'll look at the Frogan stuff after I look at the Xbox stuff, because oh my goodness. Okay, all right, we're gonna get to that. Oh man, is it a Holocaust or a rapture? It's actually probably. You know what? Let's not talk about that. Anyway, so Xbox hires an Indian woman as a CEO. This is a very important qualifier here. Ex-cucks, okay, claim that she's going to save Xbox. She shuts down all of their studios, basically dismantles Xbox in 4 months.
And that is saving Xbox. I saw this post. I almost commented on it. Maybe I did. Maybe I bookmarked it. I don't remember. That is saving Xbox. Anybody that thinks, or at least it's potentially saving Xbox as a brand, anybody that thinks that Xbox was on any sort of path to success or redemption or anything without these measures is a fucking moron. Now, frankly, I don't care if Xbox is saved or not. I truly don't. In fact, I want to see the entire gaming industry crash and burn. But this is so logically devoid of any like any idea of cause and effect. So yes, they get Asha Sharma as the CEO. Says she's gonna save Xbox. She starts saying all the things that people want to hear. She starts saying all the right things, things that people want to hear. That's all good. But then she says she's gonna shut down all the studios. Well, that's now not just saying what people want to hear. That's doing what people want to hear and what people want to see. Because all these companies, all these studios are dog shit. Just fucking awful. And they have contributed to the degradation of gaming. So yes, shutting them down, bringing them down, that way that new studios or new games can rise up, Phoenix from the Ashes style. That is the good move.
Champion. Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to put him out.
The matter is, most people do not give a fuck about DEI. Also, DEI is being taken away and repackaged as bridge, so DEI is an irrelevant term anyway. Right now, there are more important issues than DEI. There are. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but most people don't give a fuck about it or even know what it is to give a fuck about it. Only terminally online individuals that listen to Culture War stuff, like myself, know about that. But let's be real. There are far bigger problems that affect far larger swaths of the gaming populace.
Their misery. Somebody had to take them out to the back of the barn and say, listen, this hurts me more than it's going to hurt you. Turn around and face the wall. That's it. And I don't, we don't need to do this, but that's what happens. Xbox died a long time. She's draining the swamp. the studios that she's doing it with, right? IO Interactive. Okay, so here's one right here. For a good while, it's been all positive news from IO Interactive. We remained humbled and honored by the response to our latest outing of a young, unproven Bond. A bold new story to take on one of the most famous characters in entertainment, which the world has embraced with love.
Really? The world is embraced with love? Because most people I know play the game have not liked it. Yeah, Badger likes it. But like, Sevi didn't like it. Hypno liked it for what it was, but he had a lot of criticisms of it. Tiger King, in true Tiger King fashion, despised it. To say the world embraced it with love, let's be real, it's pretty mixed at best.
However, we have to share some more downbeat news. A relationship with our external partner on our own.
On June and May, remember, for 9 months, keep tossing those logs, Garbage Studios, on the bonfire Xbox. Yep, I completely agree. The fire feels nice and toasty. Cracks another beer. Burn, baby, burn. Fucking facts.
IP Project Fantasy has come to an end. This means that we have to adapt this new reality and short-term consequences, including staffing decisions, which is what is happening right as we write this update. We are now fully committed to supporting those affecting. They need to stop doing this. Stop tweeting that you're firing people. Just fire.
No, I just keep tweeting it. Actually, don't. No, I changed my opinion. I agree. You stop tweeting it. Let the industry report on it. That way the rest of us can fucking... Because we're going to roast you regardless. We're going to roast you regardless. So you may as well just shut the fuck up and let it happen.
Fire him. Just fire him. Like, because it's just going to give people more ammunition to say your company's failing. It's going to get more people angry at you. What's Project Fantasy? Like, it's a world that we...
Project Fantasy is the fantasy that gamers have in thinking that these companies are actually going to do something to save their platforms and their games. That's what it is.
Like, what the fuck is Project Fantasy? What the fuck is Project Fantasy? No, we're going to look into this. It better not pull me to, like, some Rule 34 shit. Online fantasy RPG. Okay, so, like, that's... Well, that looks cool. Okay, so there's no release date or gameplay footage? Does there be any gameplay footage at all? Let me see if there is or not. Is it woke? There's no gameplay footage. Okay, so then who gives a shit? I mean, like, I don't know whether it's going to be good or not. So, yeah, anyway, bunch of people sitting around getting paid for nothing. Yeah, I mean, they made... Oh, how did James Bond do? How did it do? First Light. It got 71,000 people playing the game, and it has 5,000 people playing it. Now, overall, I think that the game... Like, this is just, like, my opinion. This was a game that was made for an audience that wasn't me. I was not the target audience for this video game. I didn't find any interest in it. I didn't really enjoy it that much. I just don't really care about the game. But I think it was a good game. They sold 2 million copies. Okay, well, didn't Dragon's Dogma sell 3 or 4 million copies and it still lost money? So I don't think
there it is. I fully believe that James Bond lost money. Absolutely. Most of these games do. For the same reason that Hollywood loses money. Not even because the stuff isn't, quote unquote good. I haven't played this game. I have no interest. I'm not going to play this game. I don't give a fuck about it. But with these bloated, out of control budgets and 3,000 people working on fucking games and having credits at the length of a Marvel movie, yeah, don't give a fuck. They probably lost money simply because they don't have their budgets under control.
That necessarily means a lot. So, yeah, like let me look and see. I'll ask the AI. Did James Bond First Light make money? Cost versus development plus advertising. We'll see what the AI says about this. Metaphor sold 2.5. Didn't Atlas say that it underperformed? It didn't make as much money as Persona?
I mean, to be fair, Metaphor was never going to sell like Persona. Persona is an established franchise. Metaphor is a new IP.
So it cost $200 million. So it's made right.
There's no way it was that cheap. No, there is no way that First Light was that cheap.
Now, at typical probability math, so if it sells 3 million units, it will make 210 million gross revenue. So that means it will make a net revenue. This puts it right around or slightly past break-even point, 200 million all in costs. Well, wait a minute.
What about marketing, though? What about marketing?
Like, I mean, if you have 3 million, well, that doesn't make sense. If you're making 147 million and you spent 200 million, didn't you just lose $50 million?
Again, plus marketing.
Like, I feel like that's the, like, because 200 is a bigger number, right? I mean, like, I think that's the way it works. So Amazon funded the project. I don't know. But anyway, everything bad. Everything is bad. And I want it to get worse. I think video games need a total reset. We need a complete and total and absolute reset on video games just so we can figure out what the hell is going on.
Not just video games. All media. Video games, movies, music. Like, I don't give a fuck about your SoundCloud rap. I don't give a good goddamn about your SoundCloud rap. Oh, Def Leppard's putting out another album. Bro, Def Leppard, you ain't been relevant since 1992. I don't give a fuck about Def Leppard. Come on. Nah, reset everything.
Because we have so many of these games. And you want to know one of the reasons why? It's because of this shit. Every single time I see a video game studio closing, I think about stuff like this. End white, cisgender, able-bodied man as the default. Video games are political. The way we make games.
And there it is. I was saying earlier in Wizard's video that politics is not downstream from culture, that culture is downstream from politics. Here it is. Here is culture putting the politics first. Video games are political. They're stating that video games operate under the purview of politics being first. That's why politics are not downstream from culture. It is vice versa. The video games are being made to adhere to politics, not the other way around.
Games is political. The way that we teach our students to make games is political. These people have infected my hobby. My hobby is playing video games. I love playing video games.
Because of DEI, companies with DIE. Then explain to me why Wizards of the Coast is posting record profits for both Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast, arguably the wokest company out there besides maybe Disney. Explain to me why Wizards of the Coast is doing record profits for both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. DEI alone is not enough to kill something. I wish it were, but it's not. There are far more structural issues than just DEI.
If you ruin my hobby, I will ruin your life. It's simple. And we are in the process of doing that. And we're doing a great job. I'm very proud of you guys. Don't cry, brother. I'm just having hiccups a little bit, right? Usually during the beginning of the day, it's a little rough waters. That's the way it goes. It's our hobby, comrade. True. We are the indigenous people of video games. The chuds are the indigenous peoples of the internet. The chuds are the indigenous gamers, and these people are colonizers. They're
all media and all arts political. You fucking dumbass. Yes, explain to me the politics of Pokemon. In fact, hold on a moment here. Here it is. All right, where's my pen? Where's my pen? I know I keep a pen around here. Fuck, I can't find my pen. Give me just a sec. I just need to prove something real quick. I just need to prove something. Okay. I would like you to explain to me how my drawing of a happy little tree with an owl on it is political. This is art. Definitionally. It means the definition of art. Explain to me how this is political. Fucking idiot.
They're settlers. They are not supposed to be here. They are invaders.
And shout out to Kicking the Nuts with a 2-banger. I'm late, Tax. You are. We've been over 2 hours and 15 minutes. You are late, but welcome to the party.
And they are living on stolen land, and it's time for them to leave. Get out of my hobby. Get out of my games. Get out of my life. People play video games to avoid people. Like, if I just look at, for example, what's the game called? Dragon Age. Yeah, Dragon Age. People play video games to avoid people like this in real life that they have to put up with and listen to. There are so many annoying, obnoxious people like this in real life that behave this way. And I think that we're tired of it. And you play video games to get away from these people. You don't want to deal with them. So that's really the way I feel about this whole thing. And I've said this the whole time. Actually true? Yeah. I mean, like, that's what I've said many times. The Verge, Microsoft is currently weighing closing at least 5 studios, including Arcane Studio Blade.
Not enough. Five studios isn't enough. I want them to close every single studio. Even Bethesda. I'll be happy knowing that Fallout will never be tainted with whatever they're doing in Fallout 5. Close them all. Vagabond with a 5-banger. There are still useful cards they buy from WotC. Example, the last Airbender Magic the Gathering cards, and folks still run out and buy it when it ruins the game. Exactly. Bingo, and that's my point. DEI is not enough to kill a fucking company. Because people like this still go out like fucking morons and continue supporting Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Exactly. Thank you for the 5-banger, homie. Let's clip you up real quick. Let's give you a clip.
Y'all can clip me all you want. I think Alyssa McConaughey has a nice ass, but I guarantee you she doesn't shave her armpits. So I'm good.
Late Plug Muddy Waters for a 5-banger. The tree resembles ovaries and is a representation of women's rights to choose what happens to their bodies. Then explain the owl, Plug. Explain the owl, Muddy Waters. Shout out. Thank you, homie. Appreciate you.
Find Peter Parker.
Who the hell are you?
All right, let's keep going. Thank you.
And exploring options to sell Arcane Studio. I'm going to give maybe a woke take. I think it's really fucking retarded that the only like big black superhero game is Spider-Man, because Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man. Peter.
How is that a woke take? That is the opposite of a woke take, Asmongold. What the fuck?
Parker is Spider-Man. I think that we need to have Luke Cage, we need to have Blade, or we need to have Black Panther. We need to have a game for one of these superheroes. They have massive fucking audiences. Everybody likes them. Why the fuck do we not have a single game for any of these? Black is Spawn. Is Spawn black? I don't think Spawn's black. Yeah.
Homie doesn't know Spawn's black. Homie doesn't know Spawn is black. God damn it. Actually, you know what? That's a good thing. No, that's a good thing. Homie knows Spawn's black, because that means that Spawn's whole fucking personality isn't about like being a goddamn blackie. Shout out to War Wizard for a 2-banger. The owl is a symbol of Athena, so female wisdom. Fuck you, War Wizard.
But I mean, I feel like those are the top 3, right? I mean, Luke Cage has a show out now. Blade is a
Late Plug and Money Waters is a 5-banger. What noise do owls make? And who got the right to choose? Well played. Well played.
Like an OG. And on top of that, I mean, you've got Black Panther, right? I mean, how is this not going to happen? He is? I didn't even know that. This is the first time I'm hearing of this. Well, regardless, I think they need to do it. I do. And I know it's not because it is in a way because he's black, right? But like, I mean, I think that I think it's kind of cheesy that like the only black superhero game that we have is Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a white guy. What the fuck? You get to play it. It's stupid to me. It's dumb. Like they should have their own game like Black Panther or something. I think that would be awesome. I would love that. So yes. And anyway, they're making them gay. Well, yeah, and Spider-Man's Jewish. I don't know. And Storm, yes, Storm is basically at this point canonically black. And I don't think anybody complained when it was it Halle Berry that played Storm or something? Like, yeah, it was totally fine. But anyway, I don't think they should cancel this game. I really don't. I think that
I do. Not only should they cancel it because he's black and black people are obviously evil genetically, because I mean look, man, I went to Agartha and they told me so themselves. But like jokes aside, no, just cancel the whole studio. Game with it. Because is this even going to be a game? I don't know. I don't care. These studios need to be brought to their fucking knees and crushed. So they won't do Black Panther since his policy is Trump times 100. That's true. Richard Pryor is Spawn. Oh, what?
Game, you have like what?
Yeah,
game?
He's trolling.
Oh man, like I feel like how could you tell a story for Blade? What would be like a good comparison to that? Maybe something like almost like Cyberpunk kind of. Like I don't know. I'd have to really think about like what kind of a game would it really fit with. I don't know. Storm was always black. Really, she was. I don't remember that in the original comics. Maybe I'm wrong.
See, he's trolling.
Nah, you guys are right. You guys got it. I didn't even think of this. Devil May Cry. It should be Devil May Cry. Definitely. Absolutely. It should be Devil May Cry, but make it more serious with like less quips and stuff like that. Because like you don't want to have it be like a bunch of like, random one-liners and bullshit. Like I think Blade's kind of like a cool, badass guy. Like not that Dante isn't, but like Blade's a different aesthetic. So yeah, I mean, I would love to see this. I think it'd be fucking amazing. So I really hope they don't cancel this game. And I know that like they were trying to make a new Blade movie. It's like, isn't it crazy that they just can't do this right? It's something that literally everybody wants. Nobody thinks is woke. And for some reason, it's the only one that nobody can figure out how to do. Like, they can't make a good movie for Blade. The only good implementation of Blade recently was, I think he's pretty good in Marvel Rivals. But even then, I don't even think he's that great in the game. So it's like, really, it's just bullshit, man. It is. It's total bullshit. And the first two movies were good. Yeah, what about Black Panther? I think that Black Panther would play a lot like Spider-Man, honestly, and like just like the way that the character is. But I feel like Black Panther is a lot larger in scope because you'd have to like map out Wakanda. And I think mapping out and designing out a Wakanda is like basically creating like Shanghai fused with Night City. Like that's really, really, really complex. And so like it makes sense why they haven't really made that yet. But it would be very cool if they did that. Blade is way more iconic than Black Panther. Personally, I think
no. Not anymore. That may have been the case back in the day. Maybe. And honestly, maybe only because of the Snipes films. I bet historically speaking, Black Panther has always been more iconic. Blade had a pretty solid run in like the 90s and whatnot. And then Black Panther took it back over.
Black Panther is way more iconic. That's my opinion. And I think especially with the movies, I think the movies were just like, I think for our generation, Blade might be more iconic. But for anybody under the age of like, let's say like 28 or 27, Black Panther is probably the main one. But I think maybe it depends on age. Either way, I don't think that it should be a competition, all right? They both should get a really good video game. They both deserve to have an S-tier video game. And if you want, like, even for me to go even farther than that, I'd rather see a Blade game than a Wolverine game. I would. Like, Wolverine, you've seen a bunch of... I've played how many Wolverine games? I've played how many of these? Like, let's get something new here, right? Let's do something different. But that's just the way I feel, right? It is. It's the way I feel. And anyway, whoa, exactly.
I'm still waiting for the anime adaptation of Blade. Call it Vampire Hunter G.
Good. Superheroes deserve it. Ain't nobody replacing Wesley Snipes as Blade. True, brother. True. And Blade game could be like Batman. Yeah. Anyway, I really hope this doesn't happen. Next. So these are the people, by the way, these are the colonizers. These are the problem people. These are the people that have ruined video games. And if you think that they haven't ruined video games, I want you to consider the concept of the foreshadowing of God of War, where at the end climax of the God of War series, Kratos, along with probably Thor and one of the Egyptian gods, are the three wise men who present the gifts to Jesus as an end to the entire story.
That's kind of fucking funny. Well done.
You don't even know what you lost. You don't even recognize or have any comprehension of how bad this is and how cool it could be. That would be actual peak. That would be insane. Not Thor tier. Oh, excuse me. I don't remember exactly. I just assumed it was Thor. Damn Neora. Can you imagine that? The character development? Yes. Never cared about God of War? Well, I'd care about that. I think it would have been fucking badass. And so, and do you think any of those people at this conference would want you to have that game? No, they wouldn't. They would hate the idea. They would try to come up with a way to make Jesus bad. They would come up with some other reasoning why it's not a good idea. No, it would be bullshit. So yes, disabled people don't want to see them represented. Well, I think that disabled people should be represented in ways that are creative and respectful.
I mean, I guess. It depends on what you mean by disabled. Like, okay, Daredevil is disabled. He's fucking blind. But is he really disabled? Like, Stan Lee straight up said Daredevil's senses were so powerful they actually outdo Spider-Man's spider sense. You gotta understand, Spider-Man's spider sense is effectively precognition. Like, definitionally precognition. And Daredevil is so badass. Just his 4 of the 5 senses, and basically 5, because he can see in a weird, fucked up kind of way. So yeah, if we're talking like disability in that regard, sure. I don't want to see no motherfuckers like Hephaestus in a wheelchair like in Hades, okay? That was retarded and clearly pandering.
Things like Cyclops being disabled, things like Professor X being disabled, things like Drekthar being disabled, Illidan being disabled in World of Warcraft. I have a lot of WoW examples for this, right? Things like Daredevil being disabled. Like, disabilities should be viewed as like kind of a distortion rather than simply a disability categorically. And Charles Xavier, exactly. And rather than Darth Vader is a great example, right? Definitely. Khadgar, Illidan was disabled. He lost his eyesight. He gave away his eyes in his pact with Sargeras in order to have greater power and to be given and imbued with the strength of the demons and fell energy to stop the invasion of the of his homeland. That's what happened. The God Emperor is disabled. Thoth is the God of wisdom. I don't know if Thoth is disabled or not. I have no idea. But stop representing. Yeah, and so like that's the way that disabilities should be portrayed.
He's talking about World of Warcraft.
Because it's cool, rather than Khadgar in his purple wheelchair. Like, this is so these people right here.
And to be fair, some of my favorite characters in games, now that I think about it, are disabled. Like, Lara Croft is disabled on account of she's a woman and women are mentally deficient. So it does check out.
These people right here, they are the ones that did this. They are the ones that invented something like this garbage.
Was just because I knew you were watching, Sev. Just so you know, that comment was 100% just for you.
Right here. That's what they do.
Thank you.
They are the most boring, annoying, obnoxious people that you could ever imagine.
Yeah,
oh my God. Right. Why is it pink? Yes, it's truly. Khadgar is riding around inside of a pink wheelchair. Do you want to know what I really think the best example of being disabled is?
And the funny thing is, I guess we're not hanging out tonight. She would never make that threat. She would never make that threat. Or she might make the threat, but she would never follow through on it. An hour or two will go by. Honey, I'm bored. Oh, you said we weren't hanging out tonight.
Lead me to the slaughter, brother. I cast you down in the name of the Emperor. That's what I think this ability should be in a video game. This was, by the way, let's watch it. Dude.
What up,
This was
Parrot?
the craziest fucking thing. So the entire time in this entire game, there is this ominous dragon that's going around, and it's fight, and the game is leading up to you fight.
It's not that I don't it's not that I don't underestimate your stubbornness. I just also understand your willpower after so long has passed, and then your mood swings afterwards.
This massive, ominous chaos dragon. And you'll see it here in a minute. And this dreadnought, by the way, this guy just shows up like 10 seconds before this in the game. It's so good.
You're all right, Barrett.
Changing magazine.
So these guys are Space Marines that are put in life control units, and they're put inside of this machine. So this is it, right? And so everybody is like, holy shit, this is when it's finally going to happen. You're going to have to fight this massive dragon that's been going around, flying around for the entire game. Here he is. It's time.
What just happened there? What?
Holy terror. We have our chance. Go!
Just fucking kills it. It doesn't even fucking matter. Nobody gives a shit. And that was it. It was fucking cool. Yes. So no I'm not against.
That was funny as shit. I've only ever played this game for like maybe an hour in the campaign, and I played with Sevi this past weekend. That was fucking funny. He threw a tank at it in one shot. Yeah, dude, that was fucking funny.
I think disability in games can be really cool, but yeah, that was it, and it's gone. Exactly. The other epic dreadnought moment was in the tunnel. Yeah, it lead me to the slaughter, brother. Where are the enemies? They're all around us. Oh, I remember very well.
Hey, shout out Xavier gifting awards of Paradise membership. He hit Too Tall Yeti. Nice. Welcome to the party, Too Tall Yeti.
Game was total fucking cinema. I loved playing this game on stream. You didn't you even think that was the final boss, but then this happened? Yeah, I thought this was going to be probably like the final boss or like the second to last boss. And yeah, it was so fucking cool. They're making a third game for this, by the way. So anyway, but these people, do you think these people would ever come up with a cinematic like that? Do you think they'd ever do that?
Well, okay, to be fair, they would come up with a cinematic like that, but once the dragon perches all up on the whatever he was perched on, the building and whatnot, he was then going to lecture the Space Marines about their colonialism and the fact that they're all white, even though you see within the first cutscene that they're not all white.
No, they would not.
I want an all-white Space Marine jury.
They would never do that. Never, ever, ever. And so what's happening is that you're having more and more of this happen. Numerous Xbox devs slam Xbox and new management, disrespecting developers and gamers. Look at these nasty little traitorous weasels, bro. Like, you were sitting there getting welfare from Daddy Microsoft so you could do your art projects. And then finally, somebody comes in and turns off the spigot, your money hose. And now you're going and turning
Did he say the spigot? Is Hypno in the chat? Did he say the spigot? I think Hypno might be in chat.
Ace? Now you're turning on them? They were paying your fucking bills. They were paying you for years to make garbage. You were making garbage for years and years and years. And now finally, we're done paying for executives' failures. Unionized Xbox developers hold press conferences.
We're not paying for executive failures. I'm not paying for devs' failures. You want to know why I don't buy games from like these modern AAA games? You want to know why I'm in the indie scene or the AA games will not? Because I'm not paying for devs' failures. And that's where the real DEI problem is. People were saying earlier, it's like, oh, gaming we fixed so we get DEI out of it. The DEI is not the butch fucking women with the man jaws. The DEI is the fucking dumb motherfuckers that were hired behind the scenes because they're black or they're gay or they're trans or whatever, and they don't know how to fucking code. So the game comes out a broken, buggy mess on day one. That's where you want to know why Witcher 4 is going to suck dick? It's not because Ciri's the main character. In fact, Ciri's a pretty all-right character. No issues with her. Like, in lore, whatnot, it actually was leading up to her being the first female Witcher. Like, all that actually checks out from a lore perspective. But you want to know what? On launch, that game's going to be dog shit because they have a bunch of people out there working for these companies that don't know how to do their fucking job, but they were hired on account of their fucking skin color. That's the real DEI. That is the actual problem. So yeah, I'm done paying for the devs' failures.
Conference to make their point as Microsoft reportedly readies massive layoffs. Don't disrespect the developers. Don't disrespect the gamers. Listen, there's nobody who's disrespected gamers more than developers. Okay? Changing it from male to female to body type 1 and 2, that's disrespectful. It's time to go back to McDonald's. It's time to go to Wendy's. It's time to go to...
Yeah. Send to Wendy's. Because, like, Wendy's has already gone so downhill anyway. Send to Wendy's. I would actually much prefer that. I don't know that I trust these type of people handling my fries.
Go to Applebee's. You're going to work at Chili's now. That's right. You get to greet people whenever they walk in. Hi, welcome to Chili's. And then somebody smarter than you has to take the order. Can't trust somebody like that to make a decision that way. Do you think that...
I will say... completely unrelated, because I was a Chili's hater for years. I've been to Chili's at least 3 or 4 times in my life, and I always hated them. They were like the Walmart version of a TGI Fridays. They were bland, they were boring. They were saying Chili's fucking sucks. So I said never go to a Chili's again. I went to Chili's a few weeks ago. A buddy of mine wanted to go, and I was like, fuck it. You're the one who wants to go. Let's do it. They completely revamped. They've gone with this whole like Southwest thing. Bro, Chili's upped their game, dog. Chili's upped their game. I doubted the Chili's rebrand. Nah, they went the opposite route of a Cracker Barrel. Chili's be pulling some mad shit. It was so good.
Theory that these people put bisexual color in modern games is true. I think that the purple stuff is true, but I don't know entirely why. During the press conference, speakers said they felt expendable and dispensable. The reason why you feel expendable and dispensable is because you're expendable and dispensable. So the reason why you think that you're useless and they don't care about you is because you're useless and they don't care about you. That's the actual reason why. You might not want to hear that, but it's true. We refuse to be left into dark as the company decides to restructure in a way that seriously affects us all. They will never tell you ahead of time because you guys insider trade. You insider trade, you bet on...
I have not been to Applebee's since 2013. So I don't know if they're in the same place or not. I've not been to an Applebee's. I remember the last time I went to an Applebee's. It was in 2013.
On prediction markets, and you do other forms of illegal activities that endanger the company and create problems on a second level effect. That's the reason why they don't tell you ahead of time. If people weren't doing that and this wasn't such a big problem, and I understand not everybody does this, But there's enough of a culture around doing that they have to make sure that they have, 0-day announcements. That's the reason why. It's because of insider trading. It's not because of some other big thing. That's why. Twitch cares too much about DEI stuff. A lot of companies do. So, and let's just hear, we're going to be treated as expendable, valued one week and cut the next. Why would a game developer bother to put on their best work under these conditions? Hard work and great game.
Under what conditions? Why would you put forth your best work if the conditions are, if we don't do good work, you'll get fired? Isn't that the baseline for any job that's not unionized? By the way, that's why they want to unionize, is so they can't get fired, because that's the baseline for every job that's not union. Hey, do the work at least semi-competently. Frankly, I've been in the working world for a while now. Until I started doing this full time, which has only been about a year, I've been working since I was 16. And you know what I've noticed? Most people aren't even good at their job. They are semi-competent at their job, and they skate by. You only get fired for being bad at your job if you're like real fucking bad at your job. So when they say under these conditions, the conditions are just do your job. That's the fucking baseline. I saw people come into the Waffle House when I was there at 16 years old, high or drunk up their ass, fucking tweaking out on meth. You know what? You don't need to be incredibly like you can walk into a Waffle House as an employee, tweaking out on meth, and still make a fucking waffle and give people their chocolate milk. And if you can make the waffle and the chocolate milk while tweaking out on meth and maybe just not picking at your scabs, you're fine.
Games do not save you for layoffs under Microsoft. Well, let's talk about this concept of great games. Let's think about the idea of great games. Where are they? I don't see them. Last time I checked, a lot of these really successful studios haven't. I mean, yeah, maybe they released a good game 7 years ago or something like that. Yeah, you released a good game on PlayStation 2. Everybody that made that game in the credits isn't working there anymore. So, yeah, no, absolutely not. Yeah, you're top 200 on Steam for one day, and you only had to spend $300 million to get there. So, where are the good games? Where is it happening? Where is it? That's what.
Who made Crimson Desert? Who made Crimson Desert? Not Xbox. Not Sony. Not fucking Nintendo. Who made Expedition 33? Not Sony. Not Microsoft. Who made Stellar Blade? Not Sony. Yeah, Sony gave him some fucking money. Sony didn't make the goddamn game.
We're coming together across Xbox to make our voices heard and demand real accountability.
Yeah.
Even as
just releasing the game is the achievement. You getting me to play your game, that should be the achievement. Because you can release a lot of authors release books every fucking day that don't even get downloaded for free on a Kindle. That's not a fucking achievement.
Company calls us too costly to keep. It is raising console prices on players again, citing a RAM shortage that Microsoft itself has exacerbated. Going forward, Going, that's his name. Going continued. Layoff rumors are swirling. Players are paying more, and executives are calling for it, calling it a reset. That's right. You guys are getting the great reset. And I can't think of a group that deserves it more. Next week's Xbox layoffs are going to be brutal. The actual article is even more brutal. Just one more live service game, bro. Just one more is going to fix it. And this is also another component too. Valve hires a theater actor as a voice actor. They're better at voice acting than most voice actors. Why not just start hiring theater actors? This is the hack that From Software has done, is that instead of hiring people to do, English, like old English pronunciations of things, why not just go to the British Theater School and then hire a few of the guys?
And you want to know what's funny? Those British theater kids are going to get a whole lot more money now. Yeah, because you don't make money as an actor in the British theater circuit. Like, you might make enough to live and whatnot, fair enough. But you don't make the big times. You're doing it for the love of the game. Most working actors, no matter where you are, they're doing it for the love of the game. They show up on an episode of X-Files here, an episode of Supernatural there, and an episode of fucking Stargate Atlantis here. They're not in the big Hollywood movies. They're not all Tom Cruise or Harrison Ford. But you start getting these British dudes that are only in plays a couple times a year, but at least they're making enough to get by. You start putting them in video games, guess what? For one, video games pays better than any other industry when it comes to voice acting, except for some Western animations can actually get pretty up there. But by and large, video games, they pay better than anime when it comes to voice acting. But then on top of that, now you go to the convention circuit and you're charging $50 for autograph. You get these dudes from the British, from the actual British talent agencies that do traditional acting. You start putting them in video games, people start learning their names and meeting them at cons. All of a sudden, they're going to be a whole lot happier because they're going to be a whole lot wealthier. They're going to do a whole lot more.
Hire Benedict Pennyworth III, and I want to have him read off the lines of the dragon. He's going to be the dragon. And you know what? I can guarantee you it's going to be better than whatever, Funko Pop collecting, quirky millennial voice actor that we have in America. It is Bale. Yes, exactly. The Egon voice act. Yes, this is what they did with Elden Ring.
Curse you, Bale! I hereby vow you will rue this day. Behold,
I never played Elden Ring. Is this real? Like I've never played Elden Ring. Is this real? How do you think we got Ben Starr and Jennifer English though? The British actors have taken over English dubs. Well, I don't know if Ben Starr and Jennifer English are classically trained or not. Like just because you're British does not mean you're a classically trained actor. Being classically, in fact, I'll look it up. I'll look it up real quick. Ben Starr, classically trained. After a degree in history from Durham University, he completed a 2-year postgraduate acting course with the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. Okay, so Ben Starr is, and to be fair, Ben Starr is not a bad actor in any way, shape, or form. He's annoying, and seeing him and everything is getting old, but he's not a bad actor in any way, shape, or form. I mean, if we're looking at this objectively, Ben Starr is a better actor than, say, the original voice actor for Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid. What about Jennifer English? Graduated from the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire. So yeah, they're both classically trained. We can't really say much about their acting talent.
true Drake warrior, and I, Egon.
I always got hit by that grab.
Made flesh. Solid of scale you might be, foul dragon, but I will riddle with holes your rotten hide with a hail of harpoons, with every last drop of my being. Bale, you shall know fear yet. Bale the Dread, you shall haunt me no longer.
It was so good. It was so fucking good. Absolute aura. Yeah, it was. The Chud Rage. Exactly. And I love this game. Elden Ring is like one of the greatest games ever made. I mean, in my opinion, it's like top 5, top 10 greatest.
I like Asmongold. We all like Asmongold. I don't really want to hear opinions on greatest games ever made from someone that spent 14 years straight playing WoW and didn't play other games. He's saying it was good, ironically. He's saying it was good, ironically. But I don't want to hear opinions on greatest games ever made from someone that spent 14 years straight playing WoW and didn't play other games. He's saying it was good, ironically. He's saying it was good, ironically. But I don't want to hear opinions on greatest games ever made from someone that spent 14 years straight playing WoW and didn't play other games. He's saying it was good, ironically.
games ever made. So yeah, no, this is it. And also State of Decay is potentially facing cancellation.
Good.
This
Put
is State
Zoe
of
Quinn
Decay.
out of a job.
You know who's working on State of Decay? If I'm remembering correctly, was Zoe Quinn, one of the original architects of Gamergate. Isn't that crazy? And now the game might be getting the plug pulled on it. State of Delay. Yep, that's right. The studio took 8 years to make that game, and it's just releasing. Well, I don't know, guys. And so Xbox has been promising State of Decay for years. It could now be facing cancellation despite its trailers and alpha. What are we even doing here? I'm going to tell you what they're doing. I bet there's people at Xbox that are thinking to themselves, this game is going to flop. Let's just cancel it. Let's cancel the game.
I mean, you will probably get more in terms of the tax write-offs. Well, not get more because there's but get more out of it as a tax write-off than you would as in sales, for sure.
Let's. You know what? I'm gonna say it again. Some babies deserve to be aborted, and every once in a while, one of these companies decides to make the pro-choice decision. They do. They do. And it's not funny. No, it's not. It's sad. It's truly sad. This was a lot of
it's sad in the same way that the Titanic movie is sad. Yeah, you're seeing these people die and you're seeing like, oh, true love will never come to fruition. But then you get to that moment. You get to that moment where the dude falls off and he's like falling stories upon stories. Then just ping! He hits the fucking propeller and just like starts fucking spinning like a Beyblade off into the drink. Like, it's sad until it's fucking cartoon world and it gets funny again.
Time and energy and everything. Expedition 33 composer was just some guy on SoundCloud, not some big video game music company. Exactly. And he mogged everybody. So I think that we need to get away from this ideology where credentialism, because here's the problem with credentialism. It's because all of the credential mechanics and the credential systems have been occupied by people that are retarded. So how can you have a credential system whenever the people that are running it are fucking morons? So is Xbox going to end up like Ubisoft? No, they're not, because they're making the right decisions. I think that they need to start firing all these people. They do. And Xbox is ending contracts and cutting vendors ahead of expected layoffs. And this is also their best. This is the reason why I'm the most positive about it. The PR agency has started layoffs. They forgot that their job was to make a product and to sell the product to a consumer. It took a long time. It took a very long time, but finally they're remembering. PR, all of this worthless garbage that these people create, now it's finally over. Cutting the dead weight. Yep, a million mistakes later. I know that Sony should do the same thing. Sony is going to do the same thing.
No, Sony should not do the same thing. For the love of God, like, here's the deal. I, for many years, hated Xbox. Hated them. Because the fall off was generational. Sony's has been a steady decline. Xbox fall off was generational. However, I hate Sony so goddamn much. I don't want to see them fix anything. I want them to get worse. I want them to hire more people, acquire more studios, let the bloat get so massive and infectious they become the Blob from the X-Men. And then I want to see them crash and burn. I actually want to see Xbox fixed. When I say fixed, I want them to close down their studios and, like I said, like rise like a phoenix from the ashes, right? I actually have hope that Xbox could pull an upset. I don't think it'll happen. It's a small hope. It's like a 10% hope, but it's a hope nonetheless. I want to see Sony, like I want to be like that scene from Watchmen. I will whisper no.
thing. Sony is doing the same thing. And it'll likely, oh, this is it. It's so over. This will likely be the largest single layoff event in gaming history. Xbox lists studio closures has been allegedly leaked from an inside source, according to some guy. Original 3D Realms and Apogee founder. While he won't disclose them, he says on the top of the closures, there will be layoffs at the studios that survive the cut. Xbox is going to be supremely unpopular for a very long time, like the meteor that took out.
No, it won't. It'll be unpopular with people in the industry because they are learning that, oh, we have to actually work. Oh, we have to actually do the fucking job we were hired to do. Yeah, they're going to be unpopular in that regard because the entire video game industry, from the developers to the journalists, love post-Marxism and communism. But for the gamers, oh, the gamers will celebrate this shit. The gamers will celebrate this shit.
The dinosaurs. Well, you know what? Sometimes you need a meteor. Sometimes you do. I'm very glad. Xbox confirms to Bloomberg that they pulled out of the Project Fantasy IP. There it is. There's another one. And you're going to have more and more. That's what you get? Yeah, they shouldn't have made garbage. If you didn't want to have Xbox, if you didn't want them to stop doing this, you should have probably stopped letting these video games come out and have them have no players. You should have listened to what players wanted rather than making garbage. Woke ideologies are killing everything.
I don't know what he's talking about, bro. What do you mean have no players? Redfall was a massive success. Dumbass Asmongold.
Everything they are. And I think that a lot of this is because of that component. It definitely is.
There we go. Ending on a strong note. There's the video. Make sure to give it a like and everything like that. I am clamoring for the death of the industry. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so good. The death of the industry. Again, at the AAA level. I've not rooted for anything more, man. Not since the birth of my spawn have I wanted anything more. But Xbox, I think, is in a unique position because Xbox is doing what I want. They're not doing it the way I want it done because I want everything to fail so bad that these studios close out of necessity. Xbox is just making the executive decision. Now we're going to close this shit ourselves and start over, and I like that. I like hopping on X every day and seeing game devs be like, I didn't find out I was laid off until IGN wrote an article about it, but hey, guys, donate to my Patreon. I find that shit supremely funny. I root for it. I pray for it. In fact, if you were looking at the state of gaming now and all these layoffs and all these studio closures, and for whatever reason, you still don't believe there's a God, there's no help for you. Like, I one time watched a guy, a preacher, pastor, I don't remember which it was. He was one of the two. Lay his hands on a little fucking blind boy on a mission trip. And that blind boy got his sight back. I shit you not. That is a real thing I have witnessed. I still believe in God more because of what's happening with the gaming industry than after seeing that right there. I'm just saying. Sony, on the other hand, they can fucking die. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Fuck Sony. They can die. You've burned every ounce of goodwill you could possibly have. Xbox, you got a little bit left. I trust you. Nintendo, I don't know where the fuck we're at with them. I don't. But it doesn't matter. Because real gamers play on PC. Real gamers play on that master race. Shout out. We already like 4 circles. We're going to wrap the stream up. Let me see who's live. We'll get a raid going. Let me see who's live. We'll get a raid going. We're going about 3 hours. While we do that, we'll do some cleanup. Tonight, we've got the watch party in the Discord. If you're not a member, make sure you join the Discord. The watch parties are always a fucking blast. We're going to be watching Positions, which has been described to me as Uncut Gems if it were about crypto and starring me. Well, that's a very interesting way to sell me on a movie. So yeah, we'll be doing Positions, and then after the watch party over on the gaming channel, Glitch in Paradise, me and Hypno are getting back to Lords of the Fallen. So yeah, we got Lords of the Fallen tonight. We got the watch party tonight. It's gonna be great. Game on PC. We're gonna raid into Tombi And then over on on Kick, let's see how many people we got. We don't have a huge amount watching on Kick anymore. We'll still go ahead and raid on into Gregorian Gangsta over on Kick. So let's see, creator dashboard. Let's get this going. Perfect. All right, crew. Thank you so much for the donos. I will see you guys tomorrow for Neon Leon videos and streams nearly every day. Hopefully today I will get the recording done for my female, women in gaming in terms of like characters video. It's been a long process. It's like an 11-page script. Who knows how long it's gonna take me to fucking edit, but at least the recording will finally be done. I think I finally got the script finalized last night. So I'll see you on the flip flop. Make sure to tell everybody Tommy Gregorian Gangsta, Vital Idol Raid. Until next time, is all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.